Chapter 835. Ling Zixiao. Lord, shall we have a child? If he didn't utilize the spiritual eye technique to probe with his divine sense, he would normally not be able to discern the other party's cultivation level. So if it weren't for the system, he really wouldn't have known his son's situation for a while. This made Lu Chongqing realize that his son's opportunities were much greater than he had imagined. Lu Chuanjin was stunned for a moment. Obviously, he didn't expect his cultivation to be seen through by his father at a glance. The soul-nurturing jade given to him by Uncle Chu Chang'e not only had the effect of nurturing the soul, it also had the effect of concealing the magic aura and divine sense probes. According to what his uncle said, unless a nascent soul cultivator used the spiritual eye technique to check, no one would be able to discern his cultivation level. But now, his own father had actually seen his 9th-level energy refinement cultivation at a glance. This alarmed him. Everyone has their own opportunities, and your father also has many, Lu Chongqing said with a light chuckle in a calm and gentle manner. The main reason I came here was to see how you are doing. Source: Web novel. Com, updated on N0New0. Omicron. After all, the matter of the spiritual root is of great importance. You must be careful with such an opportunity and not get into any trouble. If you really get into any trouble, be sure to tell your father early and don't keep it to yourself, Lu Chongqing said, smiling. Father, my opportunity is related to uncle. Lu Chuanjin looked up at his father's warm and handsome face and said in a low voice. Although he felt it was not good to discuss his uncle's matters, now that his father was aware, he had no intention of hiding his thoughts. Uncle. Lu Changsheng's brow furrowed upon hearing this. Due to his family's relationship with Qingzhou Mountain, his children had many uncles from that side. But the uncle his son was talking about obviously couldn't be one of those from Qingzhou Mountain. After all, most of those uncles were now not as good as his own son. Uncle Chu Chang'e? Sar the Defier. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The name that Lu Chongqing had almost forgotten popped into his mind, and he said with some disbelief. Yes, that's right. Lu Chuanjin nodded. He's still alive, and he even gave Chuanjin such a great opportunity? A wave of shock and speculation filled Lu Changsheng's heart. He had stopped paying much attention to his cheap older brother-in-law when he learned that he might cultivate the demon path. Over the years with no news, he had almost forgotten him, thinking that his brother-in-law had died. Unexpectedly, not only was the other party alive, but he was also living very well, capable of giving his own son such a heavenly opportunity. After all, the improvement of the spiritual root in his son's situation, even with the system at his side, could not help but alarm him. Did your uncle come back for something? Lu Chongqing asked. Chu Zhenjin was the kind of person who couldn't keep things to herself. She would tell him everything. So something like Chu Chang'e coming back would definitely not be kept from him by Chu Zhenjin. Therefore, it's very likely that this older brother-in-law didn't meet and recognize Chu Zhenjin, but only saw his own son. This gave him a sense of surprise and puzzlement. Uncle just came back to see mother. Lu Chuanjin spoke out, detailing the general situation of his uncle Chu Chang's return. He indicated that his uncle mainly came to visit his mother, Chu Zhenjin. It might have been inconvenient for him to go to Bihu Mountain, so he used some means to come to the Red Leaf Valley Market and see him, afterward giving him some gifts. That's how his spiritual root was improved, and his cultivation broke through from the 6th-level energy refinement to the 9th level. Heaven replenishing elixir. As Lu Chongqing listened to his son's words, he learned the name of the elixir that improved the spiritual root. He had not heard of this pill before. He guessed it should belong to the 3rd order, or even 4th order elixirs. Father, although uncle is a demonic path cultivator, in my interaction with uncle, I feel there isn't much difference between the righteous and demonic paths. The distinction between righteous and demon is mainly in the person, not in the cultivation method. Just like when I traveled outside before, I encountered many people who were evil and full of sins. After finishing his words, Lu Chuanjin immediately spoke in favor of his uncle, expressing his views on the demonic path, worried that his father might have objections to the demon path. This was also his current view on the righteous and demonic paths. The principle is indeed so, but our Jiang country belongs to the righteous forces, so we should still try to keep a clear boundary with the demonic path. About your uncle's matter and the cultivation techniques, they absolutely must not be known to others. As for this cultivation technique, if you like it and find it suitable, you can continue to cultivate it. If you don't like it, the family has other profound techniques, Lu Chongqing said, pondering slightly. He held no particular prejudice against the demonic path. After all, his exposure to the demon path was far more serious than his son's. His son was only cultivating half of a technique related to the demonic path. He himself had directly taught his Dao companion demonic techniques, and in his corpse bag, he was raising 2 refined corpses. Oh, and he had a daughter in the demonic sect. I understand, Lu Chuanjun nodded in slight surprise. He didn't expect his father to be so open-minded, having not a hint of bias against the demonic path. He had not proactively spoken about Uncle Chu Change's matters before for fear of the issue with the demon path. Father, among the treasures Uncle gave me, there was a fruit called the 5-element spirit fruit. I have read in books that this 5-element spirit fruit, also known as the golden core fruit, is of great help in breaking through from foundation establishment to core formation. I can't use it right now, so you can take it. Then, Lu Chuanjun took out a jade box from the storage ring hanging around his neck, and said. He knew that his father was not as simple as he appeared. Otherwise, he would not have been able to discern his cultivation level at a glance. But thinking that his father had only a low-quality spiritual root, and having been unable to give the heaven-replenishing elixir to his father before, he took the initiative to bring out a 5-element spirit fruit, hoping the other party could break through core formation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 836. Ling Zixiao. Lord, shall we have a child? 5-element spirit fruit. Lu Chongqing was startled upon hearing this. He was well aware of the 5-element spirit fruit. There was even a 5 elements fruit tree in his system space at the moment. But he had never imagined that among the treasures his cheap brother-in-law had given his son, there would actually be a 5-element spirit fruit. You must know, this 5-element spirit fruit is considered the top-grade core formation spiritual object, priceless, and extremely precious. Yet it was casually brought out by his own son now. All right, I'll accept this 5-element spirit fruit then. Lu Chongqing was silent for a moment and couldn't resist the temptation of the 5-element spirit fruit. Although he was a second-grade spiritual root, had perfectly achieved foundation establishment, possessed a supreme condensation elixir, 3 core formation spiritual objects, and was assisted by the Tai E life water technique, he only saw a 70% chance of successfully breaking through to core formation. Such a low success rate obviously wasn't satisfactory in Lu Chongqing's eyes. Now with this 5-element spirit fruit, his probability of core formation success wouldn't reach a full 100%, but it was close to 98%. Source: Web novel. Com, updated on N0New0. Moreover, the most precious aspect of this 5-element spirit fruit was that it not only enhanced the probability of core formation but also improved the quality of the golden core formation. CTH Novelfire, NE*T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. As for him, Mr. Lu, when it came time for his future breakthrough in core formation, he naturally intended to form a superior gold core, a first-grade golden core. If he formed some 4th-grade true pill, it would simply be embarrassing. Even in his view, a 2nd-grade golden core, a 3rd-rank golden core seemed a bit lackluster. He took the jade box and opened it to look inside. Inside was a fist-sized fruit, with 5 elements radiance flowing around it, richly fragrant. Is this the legendary 5-element spirit fruit? Lu Chongqing murmured while looking at the fruit. He closed the jade box, took a deep breath and exhaled, then said to his son, Chuanjun, you're now at the 9th level of energy refinement, and you can start preparing for foundation establishment. As for foundation establishment elixir and foundation establishment spiritual objects, I'll prepare them for you. Lu Chongqing said so. His son had given him such a precious fruit, and he, as a father, naturally had to reciprocate. Father, Uncle has already prepared the foundation establishment elixir and foundation establishment spiritual objects for me. Lu Chuanjun spoke up. Ah, this? Lu Chongqing was somewhat at a loss for words. His brother-in-law had prepared so well, he didn't know what else he could provide at the moment. He said a bit helplessly, all right, if you have any needs or matters, you can discuss them with me. I understand, Father. A slight smile appeared on Lu Quanzhen's face, and he continued, Father, I plan to go out for further training next year, to temper myself, and then prepare for foundation establishment. Training. Lu Chongqing paused upon hearing this. To be honest, with his son now at the 9th level of energy refinement and foundation establishment just in sight, he was reluctant to let him go out. His son's situation reminded him of Su Ruyan. She was at the peak of the 9th level energy refinement with great prospects secured through a stable cultivation in the family. Yet, something happened during her excursion. Chuanjin, while I naturally won't hinder your wish to travel and gain experience, I still hope you will make your foundation establishment breakthrough at home before going out. Lu Chongqing, leaning back in his chair, gently tapped his fingers on the armrest and explained, "Many cultivators seek out trials in the outside world partly to find chances for foundation establishment and partly to temper their mindsets. With your middle-grade spiritual root, foundation establishment elixir, foundation establishment spiritual objects, and top-level techniques, breaking through to foundation establishment is not a problem for you, and there's no need to take this risk. Right now, the only thing you should be concerned about is the quality of your path foundation. Here at home, we can help you with this, and if you have any problems with your cultivation, we can help you solve them." Lu Chongqing said so. His life-bound spiritual artifact, the 7 Luminaries Heart Lamp, was effective in condensing the foundational mana. This effect could be used not only by himself but also to help others condense their mana foundation. The only problem was that it was a bit difficult to operate, requiring more consumption than using it on himself. But now, financially, he was fully capable of solidifying his son's foundational strength to the utmost. "Yes, father." Lu Chuanjin nodded in response upon hearing this. His trip outside was also planned with a visit to the Purple Shadow secret realm in mind. After all, only energy-refining cultivators could enter this secret realm. Now at the 9th level of energy refinement, and equipped with talismans and a second-rank puppet by his side, he was confident of gaining something from his entrance there. Maybe, if luck permitted, he could find a heaven and earth spiritual plant for his mother to cultivate the heaven and earth longevity technique. Moreover, after learning about this cultivation technique, in addition to his mother, he also wanted to prepare a copy for his sister, Lu Caizhen. For he knew his sister's situation well. Even though she had taken the heaven-replenishing elixir, had a foundation establishment elixir available, foundation establishment was still challenging for her. The furthest she could go in the future was foundation establishment, and advancing further would be difficult. If he could obtain multiple heaven and earth spiritual plants, he could also pave another path for his sister. As for breaking through to foundation establishment from energy refinement, do you understand it? Lu Chongqing continued to ask, ready to impart some insights into foundation establishment to his son in advance. Son has no understanding in this area. If father has the time, please enlighten me. Even though Uncle Chu Chang'e had already explained it, seeing his father so proactive, Lu Chuanjin still said so. After all, every parent has a bit of a need to feel necessary. If he didn't need his father's help for anything, it might make his father feel somewhat dejected. About foundation establishment. Immediately, Lu Chongqing began to share his insights on foundation establishment with his son. His knowledge on foundation establishment not only came from himself but also incorporated the experiences of the Qingyun sect and Honglian, making it quite comprehensive. Although Lu Chuanjin had already learned from his uncle Chu Chang'e, he still gained some new insights after listening. He bowed to Lu Chongqing and said, "Thank you, father." "Hee, no need to be polite. Come to me any time if you need anything." Lu Chongqing waved his hand and said. After Lu Chuanjin left, only Lu Chongqing remained in the large hall. He looked out at the darkening moon and murmured, "Chu Chang'e," through his son's words, and the cultivation techniques, heaven-replenishing elixir, and 5-element spirit fruit, he could deeply realize the terrifying extent of his cheap brother-in-law. Because each of these items involved at least a core formation stage to access. Being able to hand out so many gifts to others certainly involved the nascent soul level. Moreover, he could guess that his son probably had other rare treasures. Nascent soul. Could it be that my great brother-in-law is some nascent soul true lord reincarnated, using these treasures to cut off worldly ties and entanglements? Lu Chongqing speculated in his heart. Other than this possibility, he really couldn't think of any other. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 837. Mining Vein Contest. nascent soul celestial phenomenon. After checking on his children in Red Leaf Valley, Lu Chongqing left the marketplace the next day. He didn't return to Bai Lake Mountain, but instead headed to Qingyun sect. After all, having been away for so long, it was only proper for him to visit Xiao Shiyu and Zhao Qingqing upon his return. 2 days later, Lu Chongqing arrived outside the gates of Qingyun sect. Sigh, whom should I send a message to? Lu Chongqing took out the yin-yang sensing talismans of Xiao Shiyu and Zhao Qingqing and hesitated for a moment. Although he and the 2 women were all Dao companions in reality, his relationship with Xiao Shiyu had always been kept a secret, and they didn't hold the title of Dao companions publicly. Not even Zhao Qingqing knew about it. If he were to send a message to Xiao Shiyu now, or to both women simultaneously, wouldn't it seem like he had more than ordinary relations with Xiao Shiyu? Yet if he sent a message to only Zhao Qingqing, he would unfairly treat Xiao Shiyu. After all, Xiao Shiyu came first, and their emotional connection was stronger. Ah, indeed, having multiple Dao companions can sometimes be troublesome. Lu Chongqing sighed inwardly, thinking, now that Wang Shu has grown so big, there's perhaps no need to keep hiding my relationship with Shiyu? Back in those days, he was merely a qi refinement cultivator, a son-in-law of Qingzhou Mountain, not worthy of Xiao Shiyu, a true heir of an immortal sect. He had also worried about not getting through Xiao Shiyu's master's scrutiny and potentially inviting trouble. But now, with their child so grown, Lu Chongqing felt there was no longer a need to keep their relationship hidden. It could be openly revealed. Although revealing their relationship might bring some trouble, in his view, continually hiding their relationship seemed to unfairly treat Xiao Shiyu. Besides, revealing their relationship might not necessarily bring trouble but could even come with many benefits. After all, if their relationship was confirmed, he would indeed be the Dao companion of a nascent soul immortal's disciple. That title itself would be enough to make many people and family forces wary. I love Shiyu, and her master should not violently oppose our relationship, right? Lu Chongqing knew that if he were to confirm his relationship with Xiao Shiyu, the only problem would be her master, Kaiyun True Immortal. Such a matter would definitely need her approval. This Kaiyun True Immortal should know of my existence. She even helped me out of a difficult situation before, for Shiyu's sake. She probably does not have a negative opinion of me. Now that in proposing a formal union, even if she disagrees, it shouldn't be too bad. Lu Chongqing pondered inwardly. Now, as Lu ancestor in the Qingyun region, he had gained some renown. Apart from having numerous wives, Dao companions, and children, he excelled in looks, cultivation level, and talent. Even if Kaiyun True Immortal disagreed, she likely wouldn't do much. I'll ask Shiyu's opinion later. After Lu Chongqing had made up his mind, he sent messages to both women, indicating he had arrived at Qingyun sect. However, Xiao Shiyu's communication talisman showed no response, indicating she was not currently in Qingyun sect. Has she gone out again? Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow, murmuring to himself. Through Zi Xiao, he knew that Xiao Shiyu had been very busy for the past 2 years, only visiting by Lake Mountain once. But what exactly kept her so busy, Zi Xiao didn't know. Naturally, without himself, Zi Xiao and Xiao Shiyu both disliked interacting with others. An hour later, a green light flew in from the gate. Lu Lang. Zhao Qingqing in a green dress, tall and slender, with her black silky hair in an updo, fixed with a plum blossom jade hairpin, looked at Lu Chongqing with eyes full of joyful laughter. Qingqing. Lu Chongqing, in a green vestment robe, handsome and smiling, called out clearly. Then, the 2 of them entered Qingyun sect affectionately like that. Who is this man to be so close with a sect uncle like this? A gatekeeping disciple, seeing this scene, couldn't help but express his surprise. Since Lu Chongqing had been waiting outside, it indicated he was not a disciple of Qingyun sect. And Qingyun sect's foundation establishment disciples rarely married out, which he found very strange. You don't know him? That's Mountain Lord Lu Chongqing from Bai Lake Mountain, I hear. Another gatekeeping disciple immediately spoke up, gossip flowing. Although Lu Chongqing was somewhat famous, many people had only heard his name without knowing the person. Later, after Lu Chongqing and Zhao Qingqing became Dao companions, his fame in Qingyun sect grew. Lu Chongqing followed Zhao Qingqing to her cultivated 100 herbs garden in her cave mansion. The layout had changed significantly since her small foundation establishment celebration. In the yard, beside some elegantly simple pavilions and thatched cottages, most places were planted with spirit flowers and spirit grass, making the air very fresh. Lu Chongqing knew this was because Zhao Qingqing had a vague body. This spiritual body, besides being good at nurturing spirit plants, benefited her cultivation when she practiced for long periods in such surroundings. Lu Lang, you must be tired from traveling back and forth to Yu country, right? After arriving in the living hall, Zhao Qingqing made tea and poured water, speaking softly. She knew about Lu Changsheng's trip to Jinyang's sect in Yu country. Initially, the ticket for the spiritual vessel was bought by her, and knowing he had returned after more than 2 years, the journey hadn't delayed him much. Not too bad, just a bit boring on the spiritual vessel. Lu Chongqing chuckled, lifted his tea, and began sharing some of his experiences from his trip to Yu country. After finishing his tea, Lu Chongqing drew nearer and embraced the beauty, his eyes full of deep affection as he spoke in a low voice. Qingqing, I missed you. Search *the Defied. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Lang. Zhao Qingqing met Lu Changsheng's intensely loving gaze, her heart trembled, and her body softened, a shy joy appearing in her expression. Although she and Lu Chongqing were bonded as Dao companions, the emotional connection between them was still developing, lacking the affection that comes with time, so she felt somewhat uneasy with such intimacy. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 838. Battle for the Vein of or Nascent Soul Celestial Phenomenon. She didn't need to say anything. Her lips, moist as the spirit fruit of grass and trees, were already sealed by his kiss, striking her speechless. All she could do was wrap her arms around his neck and all but whisper, I missed you too. After a long while, Lu Lang, it's still daylight. Zhao Qingqing seemed to catch her breath from suffocation, her breath fragrant and rich. Usually modest and subdued, her face flushed red with shyness. It was broad daylight, and embracing like this in the hall immediately upon meeting made her somewhat bashful. It will be dark soon. Lu Changsheng's hands roamed restlessly, causing Zhao Qingqing's long, straight legs to tremble slightly, her delicate body soft as silk. Go to the room. Zhao Qingqing's green dress was disheveled and in disarray, she said with a trembling voice. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing immediately carried Zhao Qingqing to a simple and elegant thatched cottage in the garden. This isn't the Zhao Qingqing wanted to say something more, but her beautiful eyes misted over with a hazy layer of tears, her pretty face turned redder, a shy and obedient color on her cheeks. Then which room are you referring to, Qingqing? Lu Chongqing asked knowingly. I usually rest in, Zhao Qingqing's voice trembled, even her delicate body shook. Oh, I see, then let me carry you there. Lu Chongqing lifted her fair, straight legs and headed towards the main room. A fairy in a green dress, even without anyone else around, couldn't help but shiver at heart, feeling utterly ashamed. But right now her body was weak and powerless. She could only, like an ostrich, shake her head slightly, causing her black and beautiful hair to undo and cascade down like a waterfall, half concealing her face as she clung tightly around her lover's neck, afraid to speak. Her two beautifully curved and rounded legs continually swayed and the world turned upside down, causing an embroidered shoe to slip off, revealing a jade-like foot wrapped in a white silk stocking. Through the thin white silk, the pink hue of her jade-like foot could be seen, sometimes curling, sometimes stretching taut, like a shy young girl. The curtain of night gradually fell, and a gentle breeze brushed through, making the spirit flowers and grasses in the garden rustle, their branches dancing and swaying non-stop. As the night deepened, a light drizzle began to fall in the courtyard, generating the sound of raindrops striking banana leaves, with the garden spirit flowers and grasses swaying in the wind and rain, covered with rolling beads of jade. Somewhere nearby, a water tank had filled to the brim at some point, spilling over the edge and dripping onto the wet, green grass below. Inside the simple and unadorned room, Zhao Qingqing's face was flushed, her black hair spread out like a waterfall. Her fair body blushed and covered in fine beads of sweat, lying in Lu Changsheng's arms, breathing delicately with a hint of satisfaction and comfort between her brows. Qingqing, how have you been in the sect these past 2 years? After conveying his full longing, Lu Chongqing held Zhao Qingqing's fragrant shoulders and asked softly, letting the smoothness slip through his fingers. I, as a spiritual plant master, only need to. Zhao Qingqing's voice was soft as silk, and her breath was fragrant as she recounted softly. As a second-order spiritual plant master, practicing her life-nourishing exercises, she didn't need to take on outside missions. As long as she wished, she could stay within the sect cultivating spirit plants and spiritual medicines without venturing on assignments. As for her master, they maintained a normal relationship, giving each other due respect. After all, there remains a concept of honoring one's master and valuing the way in the cultivation world. If the situation was handled too badly, it would reflect poorly on both parties. Besides, her master only wanted Zhao Qingqing to submit back then and hadn't gone too far. The next morning, Lu Chongsheng and Zhao Qingqing went out to catch up with their good friend Han Lin and also to see their children. Originally, he also wanted to see his brother-in-law, Xia Zhaoyang. But learning that his brother-in-law was at the 9th level of energy refinement, striving for foundation establishment and spending most of his time on tasks outside, search * the novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongxing didn't inquire further. He planned to give Xia Zizhu 3,000 spirit stones upon his return. As a token of sponsorship from him as a brother-in-law, a small investment. After all, Xia Zizhu had given birth to 3 offspring for him, one with a 3rd-grade spiritual root, one with a 5th-grade spiritual root, and one with a 6th-grade spiritual root. In such circumstances, he was naturally willing to care for this brother-in-law. Moreover, this brother-in-law was decent, with a 4th-grade spiritual root, and being in the immortal sects, his foundation establishment would also be a good thing for him. As for the foundation establishment elixirs and foundation establishment spirit objects, he wasn't so affluent yet. Daoist Han must also be preparing for foundation establishment now. Lu Chongxing looked at Han Lin and asked. Foundation establishment is hard to come by. I dare not aspire to that goal. I plan to take on a task next year and head to Qingyun Market to see. If there's an opportunity, I'll take it, but if not, I'll just let it be and seek a position within the sect. Although Han Lin was nearly 50, he appeared only in his 30s, clad in a loose earthy yellow robe, with a dark complexion, plain-faced, and displaying an honest smile. If I remember correctly, Daoist Han is just 49, still in his prime. With effort, foundation establishment is still hopeful. Lu Chongxing spoke thusly. Back when they participated in the sect's examination, he became close with Han Lin, hence he knew about the other's age. That's true, but foundation establishment elixirs are hard to find, and with my low-quality spiritual root, even with the elixir, breaking through to foundation establishment is still very difficult. Why waste money and effort? Being like this now, I am already quite content. Han Lin smiled broadly. Lu Chongxing didn't persuade him otherwise. After all, to each their own. Besides, for a cultivator with a low-quality spiritual root, even with a foundation establishment elixir, there's a 90% chance of failing to establish the foundation, with efforts of most of a lifetime turning to naught. As a first-grade top-tier artifact refiner, as long as he didn't gamble on foundation establishment and squander his finances, Han Lin's life could be very comfortable. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 839. Battle for the Vein of or Nascent Soul Celestial Phenomenon. By the way, did you know about Daoist Xiao's current situation? Lu Chongxing continued speaking. He had wanted to ask Zhao Qingqing yesterday if she knew about Xiao Xie's situation. But coming to see one woman and asking about another, Mr. Lu would not stoop to such actions. I'm not sure about that. I mostly spend my days refining artifacts, and I have limited access to information. Han Lin shook his head as he spoke. He tended to be oblivious to the affairs outside his window. Moreover, as an energy refining cultivator, he didn't have access to much information regarding the foundation establishment. I heard that the sect discovered a large vein, and Kaiyun True Immortal personally oversees it, so Daoist Xiao has also been stationed outside for these years. Zhao Qingqing spoke up. As a foundation establishment cultivator, she still had some channels of information within the sect. A vein? What kind of vein requires a nascent soul immortal to personally oversee? Upon hearing this, Lu Chongxing expressed his surprise. I'm not entirely sure what kind of vein it is, but it definitely belongs to a rare type, mainly because this vein is located in the Luoyun mountain range, and there could be conflicts with the Wuxia sect. Zhao Qingqing said softly. Luoyun mountain range, I see. Lu Chongxing realized suddenly. The Luoyun mountain range was a border range between Qingyun sect and Wuxia sect. With the vein appearing in the Luoyun mountain range, there naturally arose an issue of ownership. Now that a true immortal was personally overseeing it, it indicated that both sects were likely disputing this vein. Although the major immortal sects of Jiang country cultivation realm were all righteous forces and would assist each other in times of danger, they would still take action when interests conflicted. After briefly catching up and chatting, Lu Chongsheng and Han Lin took their leave, and Lu Chongsheng went with Zhao Qingqing to visit his children and see how they were doing. With Aunt Zhao Qingqing there, his two children were doing very well in Qingyun sect. Especially Lu Xingyue, who was studying medicine. Zhao Qingqing could even provide some guidance. S.E. the novel. F. IR. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After visiting his children, Lu Chongxing did not leave immediately but decided to stay a few days at Qingyun sect. After all, since he was already here, it made sense to stay for a few days and spend more time there. 5 days later. At Lingyao Peak, in the 100 Herbs Garden, Lu Chongxing was watching Zhao Qingqing cultivate and introduce various spirit flowers and spirit grasses. Just then, whoosh whoosh whoosh, far away, the wind and clouds atop a mountain peak changed. Countless nature's spiritual energies suddenly converged, forming a massive vortex of spiritual energy that spread out like a tidal wave. This vortex continued to spread, swirling like a funnel-shaped tornado, and the top was even misted with a faint rosy glow. What's going on here? Lu Chongxing suddenly looked up. This is Kaiyun Peak. Looking at this commotion, it seems like someone is breaking through. Zhao Qingqing also looked towards the peak, her brows slightly furrowed. Breaking through? Could it be core formation? Lu Chongxing was shocked and felt that this scene somewhat resembled a breakthrough in Foundation establishment. But the scale of the disturbance was more than 10 times larger than that of Foundation establishment. Not just them, at this moment, the entire Qingyun sect was alarmed, all looking towards Kaiyun Peak. What a huge commotion. What happened? It's the nascent soul celestial phenomenon. Someone at Kaiyun Peak is attempting core formation. Kaiyun Peak? Could it be Fairy Qing Yi, disciple of Kaiyun True Immortal, attempting core formation? It's rumored she was gravely injured and went into closed-door cultivation. I didn't expect her to attempt core formation. The nascent soul celestial phenomenon. Terrifying indeed. SSS, looking at the power and appearance of this celestial event, it's evidently her passing through the 3 challenges of core formation, starting the final step, essence liquid crystallization. Once Fairy Qing Yi successfully breaks through to core formation, Kaiyun Peak will have 2 dual core formation cultivators. I wonder if Fairy Qing Yi can successfully break through. Fairy Qing Yi with Sword Heart Clarity, a first-grade spiritual root, cultivates our Qingyun sect's cornerstone cultivation technique, the Qingyun sword technique. She will definitely succeed in forming her core, perhaps even able to condense a high-quality golden core. A high-quality golden core, that's incredible. I think even forming a true elixir would be quite impressive. Inside the Qingyun sect, countless people looked up at the swirling spiritual energy vortex spreading across the sky, buzzing with discussions. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 840. Breakthrough Core Formation, Stirrings of Affection. Hoo, accompanied by the swirling vortex of spiritual energy above Kaiyun Peak, spreading continuously and permeating with spiritual pressure, Qingyun sect's mountain protection array also began to operate at this moment. After all, a breakthrough to core formation was a major event for Qingyun sect. They would not allow any interference. At this moment, there were nascent soul immortals within Qingyun sect who had woken up from closed-door cultivation, sitting in the sect to protect and oversee the process. Is this Qingyun sect's mountain protection array? Lu Chongxing looked towards the sky. Before his eyes, the entire great formation resembled an upturned bowl made of white jade and glaze, emitting dazzling light, with rolling clouds pervading it, and within seemed to be azure dragons soaring. While the great formation did not emit any terrifying spiritual pressure, the mere sight of it already gave off an unfathomable sense. At the same time, with the grand commotion on Kaiyun Peak, the oppressive might of the spiritual energy dissipated invisibly. It only allowed one to see the spiritual energy vortex hovering in the sky. This spiritual energy vortex continued to frenziedly sweep up and ingest the nature's spiritual energy from around, forming a halo of clouds, constantly spreading to encompass the entirety of Kaiyun Peak within a radius of 1 mile. Judging by this momentum, there's a high probability of successfully forming a core. Lu Chongqing watched the scene, pondering silently. He had once inquired from Hong Lian regarding knowledge about core formation. He knew core formation and foundation establishment shared similarities. For foundation establishment, one first has to pass through the 3 gates of foundation establishment, then concentrate mana to lift the Tao platform. The same goes for core formation. It also has 3 gates, followed by essence liquid crystallization to form the true elixir. At this time, the core formation celestial phenomenon on Kaiyun Peak was stable yet forceful, with an aura that climbed higher and higher, indicating strength and foundation robust enough to most likely succeed in forming a core. However, being a disciple of an immortal sect truly has its advantages. Not only do they break through realms in an excellent environment without worrying about spirit veins, but they also don't have to fear interference. Although I have prepared a complete set of resources for core formation, what I lack is a stable environment for the breakthrough. Lu Chongqing looked at the halo of light above Kaiyun Peak and the Qingyun Great Formation, musing silently. Although he was confident that he could break through to core formation in the future, he still faced a big problem at present. Spirit veins. Breaking through to foundation establishment requires second-grade spiritual veins to supply spiritual energy. The same goes for core formation. It requires at least third-order spirit veins to supply spiritual energy. Otherwise, during the breakthrough, should spiritual energy become insufficient, it could lead to failure due to exhaustion. Bai Lake Mountain currently only has second-order superior spirit veins, which are simply not enough for anyone to use in a core formation breakthrough. Even with the spiritual eye spring, and with the help of Mount Sumeru, the spiritual energy inside the cave heaven could reach the peak of second order, or even approaching third order, it still would not be enough for him to form a core. The spiritual energy required for a breakthrough is too vast. This is why most cultivators eventually join a power. Only a great power can provide a stable spirit vein environment for someone to break through. For loose cultivators to break through on their own is incredibly difficult. With Mount Sumeru at home, providing the utmost stability, if I could break through in the Mount Sumeru cave heaven, even the core formation celestial phenomenon could be concealed. If I cannot advance the spirit veins at home, in the future I will have to leave home to break through to core formation. Although I could go to the Immortal City to rent a third-order cave abode, after all, it's not as stable as at home. Moreover, if I were to break through, I am certain to condense a high-quality gold core, and at that time the celestial phenomenon would be too astonishingly loud and could easily attract trouble. Lu Chongqing pondered. Originally, core formation was still quite a distance away from him, and he hadn't thought too much about it. But now, witnessing the core formation celestial phenomenon, he couldn't help but think about his own future core formation endeavor. Ha! Lu Chongqing did not think any further, exhaled lightly, and turned to Zhao Qingqing, asking, Qingqing, do you know who is breaking through? The core formation celestial phenomenon was so extraordinary that it indicated the person breaking through was no ordinary individual. I'm not sure, but given its Kaiyun Peak, it's highly likely it's Kaiyun True Immortal's eldest disciple, which is Daoist Xiao's senior sister, Qing Yi Fairy. She's listed among Qing Yun's sect's true inheritors, and had already reached the foundation establishment late stage in her early years. Judging from this core formation celestial phenomenon, she's likely attempting core formation. Zhao Qingqing, clad in a green dress, with her black hair coiled up, looked refined and beautiful. Qing Yi Fairy? At the mention of this name, Lu Chongqing paused suddenly, with the image of a woman dressed in white, hair tied in a single ponytail, with a delicate and three-dimensional face that combined feminine softness and a cool air of heroism, coming to his mind. He hadn't expected the person attempting core formation to be Chu Qingyi, whom he had once met briefly. But upon reflection it made sense. Chu Qingyi had been an inducted true inheritor of Qing Yun's sect from an early age, possessing the late stage, even peak stage, of foundation establishment's cultivation level. CTH Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Now, over a decade later, her attempt to break through to core formation seemed normal. By the way, how old is Fairy Qingyi now? Lu Chongqing asked curiously. Although he had a good relationship with Shi Yu, and knew her master was Kai Yun True Immortal and her senior sister was Chu Qingyi, he did not know much about the two women's circumstances. I'm not sure about that. Zhao Qingqing shook her head, speaking. The rumors say Fairy Qingyi was adopted by Kai Yun True Immortal at a young age and brought back to the sect. She should be quite young, probably not yet 100 years old. Not yet 100 years old. It seems Fairy Qingyi truly possesses remarkable talent. Lu Chongqing said, somewhat impressed. To break through to core formation before the age of 100 was enough to be called a genius. After all, not all cultivators are like him, who had not even reached the peak of foundation establishment but had already gathered the resources needed for core formation. Most cultivators have to work hard for their cultivation resources daily, and are distracted by various tasks. When approaching late stages, they need to prepare resources for their next realm breakthrough. Even with Chu Qingyi's outstanding talent, having a core formation master, and being a disciple of an immortal sect, attempting to break through to core formation is not easy. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 841. Breakthrough Core Formation, Stirrings of Affection. Lushing knew that obtaining resources required his own efforts. Originally, Lu Chongqing was almost ready to return. But now, encountering a breakthrough in core formation, he planned to stay a bit longer and observe this core formation celestial phenomenon. Moreover, at this time, the Qingyun sect's great formation was operating at full capacity, and although it did not result in sealing off the mountain, it enforced strict checks on all who entered and exited. 3 days later, above Kai Yun Peak, a vortex of spiritual energy clouds broke through a radius of 3 miles. This core formation celestial phenomenon. That morning, Lu Chongqing and Zhao Qingqing stepped out of their room, gazing at the core formation celestial phenomenon above Kai Yun Peak with some surprise. According to what he had learned from Hong Lian, although the celestial phenomenon during core formation did not entirely determine the progress and quality of the cultivator's core formation, it gave a rough idea. For example, if the spiritual energy cloud vortex constantly maintained within a 2 to 3 mile radius, it was likely a low-grade flawed pill. Wuxia world. Sight if it broke through a 5-mile radius, it was probably a middle-grade true pill. If it could break through a 10-mile radius, it was likely a superior gold core. In 3 days' time, Chu Qingyi's spiritual energy cloud vortex suddenly encompassed a 3-mile radius, indicating a strong foundation, at least a middle-grade true pill, possibly even a superior gold core. Of course, there were also possibilities of complications arising during the process, resulting in core formation failure and the dispersion of the cloud. But through these clouds, one could broadly assess a person's foundational strength. As time passed, the spiritual energy cloud vortex kept climbing and spreading above Kai Yun Peak, eventually covering a surprising 7 to 8 miles in radius. Could Fairy Qingyi actually be condensing a superior gold core? Inside the Qingyun sect, someone exclaimed in surprise. Although Chu Qingyi was a true disciple of a nascent soul immortal from Qingyun, condensing a superior gold core was still extremely challenging. Once a superior gold core is condensed, the future would behold a nascent soul seed. That's true, but within our Jiang country cultivation realm, other than Shenzhen True Monarch, there has not been another nascent soul true lord. Our Qingyun sect doesn't possess a fourth-order spirit vein, so breaking through to nascent soul would necessitate seeking opportunities outside. Many people were paying close attention to the situation on Kai Yun Peak, keen to know Chu Qingyi's breakthrough progress. After all, if the sect could add a nascent soul cultivator, it would be an absolute cause for celebration for Qingyun sect. They would certainly hold a grand core formation ceremony to celebrate and announce it to the world. Another 7 or 8 days passed. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The spiritual energy cloud vortex above Kai Yun Peak furiously swept across, breaking through a radius of 9 miles, 9.1, 9.3. This tremendous activity caused even the latent spiritual pressure hidden by Qingyun sect's mountain protection array to start emanating. It made the cultivators of Qingyun sect witnessing the event feel an intense, invisible spiritual pressure. especially the disciples and cultivators of Kaiyun Peak, who at this moment experienced a stifling heart-pounding sensation. This scene. Fairy Qingyi is impacting a superior gold core. She's actually condensing a superior gold core. If our Qingyun sect can add a golden core true person, our foundation will significantly strengthen. At this moment, everyone in Qingyun's sect was profoundly shaken, fixating their gaze on the skies above Kaiyun Peak. After all, this was a superior gold core. Red Sun Peak. A magnificent palace. Atop an ancient-looking pavilion, a woman in her 30s dressed in a green Taoist robe, her black hair coiled into a bun, holding a scroll, stared at the scene over Kaiyun Peak. Impacting the superior gold core, her slender hands as pale as white jade, tightly gripped the scroll, her expression solemn and somber. Another day passed. The spiritual energy cloud vortex above Kaiyun Peak finally reached a 10-mile radius. However, this swirling mass of clouds was unstable, fluctuating up and down, causing everyone watching this scene to feel emotionally turbulent. No one knew how much time had passed. Boom! The spiritual energy cloud vortex above Kaiyun Peak twisted to its limit and exploded with an astonishingly vast spiritual pressure. Then, like a receding tide, the spiritual energy vortex dispersed, leaving only lingering glimmers of light. Amidst heaven and earth, faint sounds of the great Tao resonated, descending upon the summit of Kaiyun Peak. Has the breakthrough succeeded? Has a superior gold core been condensed? How would I know? This is my first time witnessing a core formation celestial phenomenon. Judging by the movements of this phenomenon, it somewhat resembles the golden core phenomena recorded in ancient texts but also not quite. Inside the Qingyun sect, numerous people watched the unfolding scene, chattering amongst themselves. As the spiritual energy vortex above Kaiyun Peak vanished, Qingyun sect's mountain protection array shifted from full operation back to normal. After all, regardless of the force, operating a great array at full capacity consumed a vast amount of spiritual energy and was unsustainable in the long term. Has the breakthrough succeeded? Lu Chongqing watched the scene and let out a long sigh, feeling quite emotional. He had been closely following these events these past days, and he had to admit, the activity during the core formation was incredibly astounding, far exceeding the disturbances during Foundation establishment by more than 100-fold. It also made him realize how difficult it was to gather sufficient spiritual energy through a second-grade spirit vein and other means to break through core formation, especially to condense a superior gold core, which required an immense amount of spiritual energy. Even an ordinary third-order spirit vein might not be secure enough, affecting the chances of forming a core. Condensing a core. Zhao Qingqing stared at the clouds and light above Kaiyun Peak, lightly pursing her lips, momentarily lost in thought. Even though she knew she had no hope of achieving core formation, nor did she expect to, seeing such a phenomenon still involuntarily sparked in her a shade of longing. The next day after Chu Qingjia's breakthrough in core formation, Lu Chongqing left Qingyun's sect. He had originally planned to stay only 5 or 6 days, but it turned into a month. Once back home, Lu Chongqing explained to Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge why he had been delayed for so long. Condensing a core. Hearing this, Lu Miaoge's beautiful eyes also showed a hint of deep yearning. Chapter 842. Breakthrough core formation, stirrings of affection. Previously, she had never dared to dream of core formation, considering foundation establishment a success. But now, cultivating the water of virtue technique, condensing a perfect foundation base, and possessing Lu Changsheng's Tai Dao seed, she may not be able to break through to core formation yet, but she at least had the qualifications to attempt it. Core formation? Daoist Xiao's senior sister? Upon hearing this, Ling Zixiao couldn't help but give Lu Chongqing a strange look. My lord, do you recognize this true person from Chu? She looked at Lu Chongqing and asked aloud. Lu Chongqing. What's with this skeptical tone and expression? I once met her by chance. Lu Chongqing didn't hide anything, noting that he had encountered this fairy Qingyi during his initial visit to Jiuxiao Immortal City, where she was being pursued by the Xiahou family. How fitting for Lu Lang. Ling Zixiao nodded thoughtfully. Wuxia world. Sight, Zixiao, what do you mean by that? Just because I met a female cultivator once, you think she has something to do with me? Lu Chongqing spoke with a righteous expression. Although he had a somewhat intimate interaction with true person Chu. But as a healer, He was solely focused on saving her without any ulterior motives. "My lady didn't say that." Ling Zixio's gentle smile came accompanied by an elegant look, her bright eyes brimming with innocence. "Humph, starting to tease me, are you?" Lu Chongqing made a fierce face and immediately scooped up Ling Zixio's voluptuous and exquisite body. Ling Zixiao had agreed to having children, and since his trip delayed him so much, he naturally had to make up for lost time. Afterward, "Zixiao, aside from the spiritual origin pearl and the spiritual spring, do you know of any other methods to advance the spiritual vein?" On the white jade bed, Lu Chongqing held Ling Zixiao, whose body was soft as silk and whose cheeks were flushed, and he asked aloud. "Other than the spiritual spring, there's only the oceanic bead, a treasure capable of nurturing spiritual veins. Otherwise, my lady isn't sure. However, I've heard in the cultivation world about methods to cultivate spiritual veins using heavenly and earthly treasures to accelerate their growth. But am not familiar with that area. My lord could ask Senior Red Lotus." Ling Zixiao gently caressed her smooth, slightly bulging belly and spoke softly. After deciding to conceive a child with Lu Chongqing, she grew more and more excited about the pregnancy. Yet she knew that both she and Lu Chongqing, being foundation establishment cultivators, wouldn't find it easy to conceive. I'll ask Red Lotus later." Lu Chongqing let his palm wander over her snow-white jade-like skin. "My lord, are you thinking about core formation?" Ling Zixiao softly asked. Given that Lu Chongqing mentioned Chu Qingjia's formation of her core today, and now inquired about cultivating spiritual veins, he was evidently contemplating core formation. "Indeed, although I am still far from reaching core formation, I must start considering it." Lu Chongqing spoke softly, sharing his concerns. "My lord could consider breaking through at Qingyun's sect when the time comes to form your core." Ling Zixio's pale, delicate fingertips traced circles on Lu Changsheng's chest as she spoke softly. "Qingyun's sect." Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow. "Indeed, my lord once participated in the immortal sex examination at Qingyun's sect, and since then, he has grown under Qingyun's rule. Nowadays, Bihu Mountain even offers tribute to Qingyun's sect annually. So, in the eyes of Qingyun's sect, my lord is considered to have a clear background, almost one of their own. As long as my lord is willing, with his identity and skills, entering Qingyun's sect shouldn't be difficult." Ling Zixiao snuggled in his arms and spoke softly. "My lord's concern is that advancing to core formation too soon might attract trouble, others envy. Lord has a special relationship with Taoist Xiao. Now that her master and senior sister are both nascent soul immortals holding significant sway in Qingyun's sect, with these two immortals willing to help, my lord can certainly make a stable attempt at core formation in Qingyun's sect. Moreover, Qingyun's sect also hopes to increase the number of nascent soul immortals within the sect." Ling Zixio's voice was gentle and unhurried. "That makes sense." Lu Chongqing spoke softly. He saw this as a plausible option. But with his low-quality spiritual root, breaking through to core formation within a century and condensing a high-quality golden core would certainly bring him fame and attention. Though after breaking through to core formation, his strength would be enough to rank him among the top in Jiang country. But in the cultivation world, there were still nascent soul true lords. Who knows if a nascent soul true lord might covet his fortune and target him unexpectedly. After all, if truly targeted by a nascent soul, that would be troublesome. Therefore, if possible, Lu Chongqing would rather not undergo his core formation breakthrough under the public eye. The next day, Lu Chongqing intended to inquire with Red Lotus about methods of cultivating spiritual veins. But the ancient beast taming charm was within Su Ruyan. Currently, Su Ruyan was in closed-door cultivation, bonding with her life-bound beast. He chose not to disturb her, planning to ask after Su Ruyan emerged. In the following days, Lu Chongqing stayed at home practicing cultivation, making talismans, and crafting elixir medicines. Also, he had the shop at Red Leaf Valley display and sell second-rank elixir medicines, signaling that he, the master of Bihu Mountain, crafted them. And also, undertook some elixir medicine crafting, formally revealing to the outside world that he had become a second-order alchemist. That day, in the alchemy room, Lu Chongqing was instructing Li Xingrua in alchemy. Suddenly, he felt an inexplicable palpitation, as though a string inside him had snapped. "Is this the Lockhart goo?" Lu Chongqing paused internally, his expression focusing slightly, mysteriously sensing the source of the palpitation was from the Lockhart-Gus thread of attachment. Chapter 843. Nangong Yao Yao. Sister Xiao Chan, do you know who my father is? 5 Poisons Cult. Tianzhu Peak. In the seclusion chamber, a mysterious and magnificent cocoon, dreamlike and fantastic, flickered with flames that were alternately bright and dim. Phoenix bathes in fire, nirvana rebirth, existence and extinction in a flash, all impurities washed away. Just then, a clear, cold and moving voice arose from the flaming cocoon. As the voice sounded, the cocoon suddenly burst into dazzling red light, illuminating the entire cave mansion. Immediately following, the cocoon began to burn, filling the cave with fierce, crimson flames. A glorious and graceful phoenix, its silhouette intermittently visible, appeared to dance within the fire. It raised its head and let out a long cry, its voice lofty and grand, melodious and winding, like a magnificent symphony that touched the heart deeply. Crack, crack, a series of subtle cracking sounds emerged. And then, a figure with perfect curves and alluring grace appeared amidst the flames. Lu Chongqing, Wuxia world. Sight the flames dissipated. A woman around 28 or 29 years old materialized, her countenance exceptionally beautiful and seductive, her phoenix eyes long and piercing, her skin pale and smooth as jade, curvaceous and enchanting, completely devoid of dirt or blemish, her beauty breathtaking. In her cold and secluded beautiful eyes, a hint of complexity was revealed. Through the Phoenix Goo and Phoenix Nirvana technique, she had finally undergone rebirth from the fire, cleansed of all impurities, breaking free from Lockhart-Gus effects. Upon breaking free from the Lockhart Goo, her first act was to check her own impressions and feelings toward Lu Chongqing. But when his face and figure emerged in her mind, she couldn't tell what emotion she was experiencing. Hate. There wasn't the anticipated loathing, the urge to kill and then be rid of it. Love. Now that she had broken free from the Lockhart Goo, how could she possibly like this person? But if not love or hate, then what? Greed, wrath, delusion, malice, desire? At this moment, Nangong Meili herself couldn't articulate it clearly. She was only aware that she could not regard Lu Chongqing with indifference. The man had severely disturbed her inner peace, becoming akin to a heart demon to her. Although this person is indeed hateful, he ultimately saved me and Xiao Chan and also gave me Yao Yao. Nangong Meili's beautiful eyes overflowed with a hazy magical luster as she whispered to herself, starting to speak. Even without the influence of the Lockhart Goo, her affection for her daughter Nangong Yao Yao remained unchanged, her love even greater than before. After all, she had decided to bring her daughter into this world after careful consideration, not because of the influence of the Lockhart Goo. Thinking of her daughter, a gentle longing surfaced in her beautiful eyes. But the next moment, her phoenix eyes narrowed slightly, her tone clear and cold. This man possesses a certain supreme Taoist body that can elevate a true elixir to an immortal golden core. Such an unparalleled opportunity cannot be missed. Furthermore, he once did to me. Nangong Meili recalled the humiliation from the past, her slender jade-like hands clenched tightly, her face showing a touch of exasperation. This was the time in her life she least wanted to remember. A moment she considered the utmost of shameful disgraces. She, a nascent soul immortal and a heavenly spider envoy of the 5 Poisons cult, had been so humiliated by a minor Foundation establishment cultivator, a grudge that would not rest until settled. Lu Chongqing, wait for me. Nangong Meili's expression turned icy. At this moment, she pinpointed the root of why she could not remain indifferent towards Lu Chongqing. Such a disgrace, and moreover concerning the opportunity of the golden core, absolutely could not be overlooked. If he would just obediently comply, considering his past act of saving her and for the sake of her daughter Nangong Yao Yao, she might reluctantly spare his life. If not, Nangong Meili was not someone known for her kindness and mercy. Ha! Having sorted out her thoughts, Nangong Meili felt her mind clear. She gracefully lifted her hand and took out a set of purple luxurious robes glittering like flowing light and stars, so dreamy and fantastic, from her storage ring. Those completely white, graceful feet, their toes translucent and showing faint blue veins, were now adorned with a pair of purple crystal high heels. Tap, tap, tap. With a graceful and swaying posture, her robes billowing, she quickly exited the seclusion chamber to visit her daughter. Having not seen her for a year, her yearning for her daughter was profound. On Tianzhu Peak, at a dark jade plaza, Meng Xiaochan was teaching Nangong Yaoyao to practice techniques. Over the year, with her master Nangong Mili in closed-door cultivation, she had arranged all affairs and devoted herself to caring for this little sister. Though she called her a little sister, she essentially treated Nangong Yaoyao as her own daughter. "Yao Yao, you must be tired, take a rest for a while," Meng Xiaochan spoke to the little girl in front of her, who was as exquisite as a carved doll, and strikingly adorable. Though only 10 years old, Nangong Yaoyao's tender face already carried an endearing charm, her every smile and frown like a blooming purple lotus. Her long, nighttime dark hair hung to her waist and was coiled up by Meng Xiaochan into 2 buns, adding a mischievous cuteness. "Sister Xiaochan, when is mother coming out of her seclusion?" Nangong Yaoyao's eyes were clear as if filled with flowing starlight, her voice youthful. "The master said it would be about a year, so it should be soon." Meng Xiaochan still looked like a young girl, her face showed a doting smile, her aura ethereal and dreamy. But upon hearing this, concern for her own beloved rose inside her. Her master's current seclusion was to remove the Lockhart goo. Once it was lifted, she might act against Lu Chongqing. The two moved aside to rest. The table was set with various rare spirit fruits, pastries, and desserts. "Sister Xiaochan, do you know who my father is?" Nangong Yaoyao sat down with an elegant grace, picked up a piece of peach blossom crisp, took a light bite with her tender lips, and asked nonchalantly. Upon hearing this, Meng Xiaocan's gorgeous face froze momentarily. Then, as if nothing had happened, she asked with a smile, "Why do you ask about this, Yao Yao?" Chapter 844. Nangong Yaoyao. "Sister Xiaochan, do you know who my father is? I've read in books that everyone has a father and a mother, but I only have a mother and have never seen my father." Nangong Yaoyao showed a serene and charming smile as she ate peach blossom crisp, her face innocent and naive. This? Meng Xiaochan was at a loss for words for a moment. Although Nangong Mili publicly claimed that Nangong Yaoyao was a girl she had found and adopted, with Nangong Yaoyao's appearance and Nangong Mili's usual affection for this daughter, who would believe she was merely picked up? Nangong Yaoyao herself probably wouldn't believe it either. After all, she knew her younger martial sister was very bright and understood many things. There were many things she didn't know simply because Nangong Mili hadn't taught or exposed her to them. Could it be that my father is the heartless man mentioned in the books that abandoned my mother? Nangong Yaoyao tilted her head, her lips pursed slightly, and her face adorable. "No, it's not. Wuxia world. Sight Wuxia world. Sight." Ko Meng Xiaochan instinctively defended her lover, but she didn't know how to explain it to Nangong Yaoyao. After all, her master's affair with Lu Chongqing was a secret. Such matters could absolutely not be disclosed, especially not to Nangong Yaoyao. Nangong Mili did not wish for her daughter to know anything about Lu Chongqing. "So why is it?" Nangong Yaoyao continued eating peach blossom crisp, her face still adorable. Seeing her obedient and cute demeanor, Meng Xiaochan even felt reluctant to deceive her. But in the next moment, she showed a doting smile and gently touched the other's bun, saying, "Yao Yao is still young, when you grow up, you'll know in the future." She thought to herself that her sister was really no ordinary person. Without having cultivated any bewitching techniques, her behavior still somehow influenced people's hearts as if it were a bewitching technique. Nangong Yaoyao, adorable and still somewhat baby-faced, rested her chin on the table, looking deflated and pouting coquettishly. Yao Yao is good." Meng Xiaochan, seeing her cute expression, couldn't help but reach out and pinch her cheeks, which caused Nangong Yaoyao to let out a coquettish groan. "Yao Yao Xiaochan." Just then, Nangong Mili appeared midair, dressed in a purple palace gown and high heels. "Mother!" Nangong Yaoyao immediately stood up and called out, her voice filled with joy. "Master!" Meng Xiaochan bowed in salute. Even though her master, Nangong Mili, told her not to bother with too much formality in private, she still remained consistent in her manners. "Yes, Xiaochan, you've worked hard these past few days," Nangong Mili said softly as she looked at Meng Xiaochan. Although she managed to break free from the effects of the Lockhart goo with the use of the Phoenix goo and the Phoenix Nirvana technique, her disciple Meng Xiaochan was still severely affected by the Lockhart goo. She judged that her disciple's affection had deepened, much more severely than her own. Even with the Phoenix goo, it was not easy to resolve. Moreover, Phoenix Gusa were extremely rare, and she had paid a significant cost to acquire this one. It was impossible to prepare another Phoenix Gu for Meng Xiaochan, and there was no valid reason to request another. She even suspected that, even if she had a Phoenix Gu, Meng Xiaochan might not be willing to undo the effects of the Lockhart Gu. As long as Xiaochan and he never meet again, it should be fine, Nangong merely thought to herself. Without thinking further, she looked at her daughter Nangong Yao Yao and showed a motherly radiant smile, stepping forward to embrace her daughter. Yao Yao. Mother Yao Yao missed you so much. Nangong Yao Yao, enveloped in her mother's warm and soft embrace, spoke softly. Yes, mother missed Yao Yao too. Nangong Meili, hearing this, felt her heart melt. At that moment, her spirit was tranquil, and her usually enchanting and malicious face transformed into a doting smile, her eyes brimming with maternal charm, completely hiding the usual venomous persona seen by outsiders. Even Meng Xiaochan, seeing her master like this, was deeply moved. After all, over the years, she knew exactly what kind of person her master was. Master, for Yao Yao's sake perhaps. But it's clear that master does not want Yao Yao to know about Lu Lang. Meng Xiaochan thought that her master was likely to settle her emotional debts and disputes with Lu Zhang. But she was unclear on her master's current attitude towards Lu Chongqing. However, from what she understood of her master's temper, she was likely more than willing to kill Lu Chongqing, and even torture him to an unbearable life. By Lake Mountain. Lake Heart Island. So it's Nangong Meili. Lu Chongqing, looking at a blood-red Lockhart Gu that was barely an inch long and crystalline, muttered to himself. He had thought earlier whether Nangong Meili could break free from the Lockhart Gu. After all, the Lockhart Gu was just an earth spirit Gu. As a nascent soul immortal of the Five Poisons cult, which specialized in Gu poison, if she knew about the Lockhart Gu problem, she might be able to break free. I wonder if this matter will affect Xiaochan and Yao Yao. Lu Chongqing was not afraid of Nangong Meili himself. If she dared to come to Bai Lake Mountain to find trouble, he could make her pregnant with triplets. Even outside, he was not afraid of Nangong Meili. As long as he deployed the talisman formation and the endless guileful head, even if he couldn't suppress her, she wouldn't be able to do much to him. His only concern was that, knowing about the Lockhart Gu, Nangong Meili might hold a grudge against Meng Xiaochan. And even towards himself, thus affecting his daughter Nangong Yao Yao. After all, his and Nangong Meili's deep interactions were limited to the physical, without involving the emotional level. He was still unsure of what kind of person she truly was. At least initially, through Heaven Knowledge Tower, he saw information about Nangong Meili, knowing she was not a good person. Chapter 845. Nangong Yao Yao. Sister Xiaochan, do you know who my father is? Sigh, beauty leads to trouble, Lu Chongqing sighed in his heart. Initially, when he had rescued Nangong Meili, it was true that he did so for the sake of Meng Xiaochan, hoping that the other party could resolve Ling Zixio's dragon roar physique. But he could not deny that he had developed some feelings for Nangong Meili. Especially after finding out about the situation with the Lockhart Gu. I hope this won't affect Xiaochan and Yao Yao too much, Lu Chongqing took a deep breath and said. His sense of urgency regarding his cultivation strength grew even more. If he had the cultivation of core formation, he could have gone directly to Jin Kingdom and tried to bring back his daughter, or Meng Xiaochan. But for now, even though he possessed various methods and was not afraid of ordinary core formation cultivators, he dared not take the risk lightly. That night, Lu Chongqing drowned his sorrows in wine and merriment, forgetting his worries. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. Wuxia world. Sight during this time, Lu Chongqing turned his distress into motivation, and the 3 concubines in his house successfully conceived. However, Ling Zixiao still had not conceived. It goes to show that it's invariably harder for 2 foundation establishment cultivators to get pregnant. Since returning from Qingyun's sect, Lu Chongqing had his family keep an eye on the news from the Luoyun mountain range. Indeed, they learned that Qingyun's sect and Wuxia sect were contesting the ownership of a mine vein within the Luoyun mountain range. And even some conflicts had aroused between the 2 sides. Though the conflicts were not significant. Hearing this news, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but worry a little about Xiao Xia. After all, according to Zhao Qingqing, Xiao Xia was with her master, standing guard over this Luoyun mountain range. Moreover, as news of Mountain Lord Lu Changsheng's promotion to a second-order alchemist and the sale of second-order elixir medicines at the Red Leaf Valley Market began to spread, it caused quite a stir. Neighboring family forces, such as Qingzhou Mountain, Hundred Birds Lake, Centipede Ridge, Su family of Yushan, among others, all sent people to congratulate him. After all, the status of a second-order alchemist is somewhat higher than that of a second-order talisman master, fully equivalent to a foundation-building great cultivator. Especially since Lu Chongxing, as the master of Bihu Mountain and second-ranked talisman pathmaster, had now become a second-order alchemist. His achievements were beyond remarkable. Any astute observer could see that Lu Changsheng's rise to a second-order alchemist within a decade suggested he might have a chance to become a second-tier top-level alchemist in the future. Once he became a second-tier top-level alchemist, he would be a distinguished guest wherever he went in the cultivation world. He could even go to the immortal sects to serve as a visiting noble servant. Somehow, a new title master of both pill and talisman began to circulate about Lu Chongsheng. However, as Lu Changsheng's various deeds over the years became known, other family forces grew increasingly wary of Bihu Mountain's influence. A second-order talisman master, a second-order formation master, Dao companion to an immortal sect disciple. Now with the additional title of a second-order alchemist. It was clear to everyone that Bihu Mountain was thriving day by day with a promising future full of potential. This caused some foundation establishment family forces in the Qingyun region, even those of the false core forces, to feel a sense of crisis. As family forces began to rise, with multiple foundation establishment cultivators, one problem they had to face was this. The family spirit vein could not keep up with sustaining so many foundation establishment cultivators. They needed to establish branch families or even new family spirit lands. Currently, the Qingyun region was relatively stable, and most second-order spirit lands had owners. Lu Changsheng's acquisition of Bihu Mountain had been respectable, but no one wanted to become the next Bihu Mountain. For this situation, Lu Yun, the family head, was aware, and through his mother Lu Miaoyun, informed Lu Chongxing. To this end, Lu Chongxing discussed it broadly with Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoyun. The family's business was mainly centered around the Red Leaf Valley Market. Although there was some influence in the surrounding area, it was mainly cooperative relationships, which should not cause any disturbance. However, once they wanted to expand their business beyond this area, they anticipated many challenges. To this, Lu Chongxing did not pay much mind, merely instructing his family to keep things steady with their current affairs. After all, the family was not truly reliant on these businesses for their modest earnings. With enough time and stable development, once his children grew up and he himself broke through to core formation, these problems would no longer be issues. As the saying goes, persistence pays off. After Lu Changsheng's diligent efforts, a month later, Ling Zixiao finally became pregnant. Chapter 846. Twin Dragons and Phoenixes. Third-rank music mastery. I'm pregnant, let me see. Lu Chongxing learned that Ling Zixiao was pregnant and was overjoyed. He pressed his head against her stomach, feeling the new life being nurtured inside. Although as a foundation establishment cultivator, he could use his divine sense to check for the presence of a life force, for this child. He had been longing and so expressed his affection in this way. You've been a father for so many times, yet you still act like this. Ling Zixiao gave Lu Chongxing a playful glare, her face blooming with a smile, heart filled with joy. She was also delighted and full of anticipation for the child's arrival. However, in the midst of her joy and anticipation, some worries inevitably arose. Even though both she and Lu Chongxing were cultivators, foundation establishment cultivators, they couldn't be certain that their offspring would definitely possess the spiritual root. It was only highly likely that they would. Thinking of how many children without a spiritual root had been sent from by Lake Mountain to the secular world, to Hushan Town over the years, her brows furrowed with concern and indecision. Wuxia world. Site Wuxia world. Site. This child is Zi Xiao's. Naturally it's different. Lu Chongxing held his wife's hand, smiling as he spoke. He thought if this child could inherit Ling Zixiao's dragon roar physique, then his Lu family could boast another talent not inferior to Nangong Yao Yao. Yet, the thought of having a daughter inheriting the dragon roar physique gave him a bit of a headache. What's wrong? Lu Chongxing, keenly aware of the hint of worry in his Dao companion's eyes, expressed his concern. It's nothing, just suddenly a bit worried. Ling Zixiao gently shook her head, speaking softly. Seeing Ling Zixiao, who usually handled affairs decisively, with a firm grasp on every situation and with everything in order, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but let out a wry laugh at her current concern. He thought that every woman undergoes certain changes after becoming a mother. Hee, I've thought about this matter a long time ago. This is an elixir medicine I obtained long ago, named Spirit Melding Pill. Take it 3 months into the pregnancy, and you can ensure that the fetus will definitely have a spiritual root, and it can even enhance the child's innate talents. With this spirit pill, Zixiao, you need not worry. Lu Chongqing took out the spirit melding pill from the system space and handed it to Ling Zixiao, speaking in a warm tone. Spirit melding pill. Guaranteed to possess a spiritual root, and it enhances talent and aptitude. Ling Zixiao looked at the elixir in front of her, her heart filled with shock and delight. Although she had not heard of the spirit melding pill's name before, even through its straightforward effects, she knew its value. Such an elixir medicine was at least 3rd rank, possibly even 4th order. Thank you, my lord. She turned to Lu Chongqing with gratitude. Thank what? This is our child after all. Lu Chongqing wrapped his arms around her full waist, speaking gently. Then the two sat side by side and chatted idly, discussing some matters about their home. As they talked, Ling Zixiao became concerned about the baby's sex and the future name of the child. Since the fetus was just conceived, she couldn't tell whether it was a boy or a girl, and it would take some time to find out. Lu Chongqing thought to himself that it's indeed true that one can be silly for 3 years with a pregnancy. Usually smart and quick-witted, Ling Zixiao became like this after getting pregnant. Immediately, he agreed with her and they began to discuss the child's name. They eventually decided if it was a boy, they would call him Lu Lingxiao, and if it was a girl, they would name her Lu Lingyi. Just then, Lu Miaoge walked out of the cave mansion. She was dressed in a plain white dress, her appearance pure and graceful, her figure lithe. Seeing Lu Chongqing and Ling Zixiao with happy and tender expressions, she spoke with a tranquil air. Chongqing, Sister Ling, what joyous occasion is this? Zixiao is pregnant, so we are discussing names for the baby. Lu Chongqing stood up, led Lu Miaoge over, and laughed. Congratulations to Sister Ling. Lu Miaoge, aware of Ling Zixiao's pregnancy plans, immediately congratulated her upon hearing the news. Amid her words, she couldn't help but miss her daughter Lu Qingzhu, and a thought crossed her mind. Should she have another child with Lu Chongqing? After all, most of the wives and concubines in the family had 3 or 4 children, some even 7. Her husband loved children so much, yet she had only given birth to 1. Moreover, she and Lu Chongqing practiced the Tai Yi life water technique, which was a technique designed for Tao companions. This technique was not only helpful for their cultivation and breaking through realms, but once it reached a small achievement, and after both had established their foundation, it also provided some assistance in having children. Late at night, in the simple yet elegant interior of the Chongqing Hall, Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge practiced their dual cultivation. As the two slowly revolved their cultivation technique, yin and yang converged, and a trace of the primordial life force emerged. Immediately, within the Qi ocean core of Lu Chongqing, the yin-yang fish that had formed from the yin-yang energies appeared and swallowed this trace of primordial life force. Once the yin-yang fish had almost digested this trace, it entered the body of Lu Miaoge, nurturing her Tao foundation. Further evolution of the perfect foundation base was even more difficult than Lu Chongqing had imagined. Or rather, Xiao Xie's transition of foundation gave Lu Chongqing a misconception, making him think that the transformation of the Tao foundation was easy. Years had passed, and Lu Miaoge's superior Tao foundation had grown significantly condensed and robust under the nourishing of the yin-yang energies and primordial life force, yet it still showed no signs of transition. Of course, there was a reason for this. Previously, he had mostly used the yin-yang energies for healing Ling Zixiao and mending her Tao foundation. Chongqing. Lu Miaoge's voice, gentle as a descending fairy, flushed with the warmth of mortal desires. What is it, Sister Miaoge? Lu Chongqing caressed his wife's skin, as soft as mutton fat jade, and softly inquired. Let's have another child. Lu Miaoge's lips parted softly, her voice tender. A child? Lu Chongqing arched an eyebrow upon hearing this. Having children was something he readily agreed to if his wife wished. Yet, thinking of their daughter Lu Qingzhu who had grown so much, was still outside and somewhat tender and sensitive, he softly replied. Of course we can. Chapter 847. Dragon and Phoenix Twins. Third rank music mastery. But there's no rush for this matter. Wait until you break through to foundation establishment mid-stage. By then little Zhu will also be almost home, and you can tell this elder sister, Lu Chongqing said this. On one hand, he was considering his daughter's feelings. On the other hand, he wanted to see if the system could draw any heavenly and earthly treasures or secret techniques related to nurturing the fetus. After all, he held considerable affection for Lu Miaoge through their many years together and had a touch of favoritism. He hoped she would give birth to a child with exceptional talent. Such an event would be good for both himself and Lu Miaoge. Okay, Lu Miaoge replied with a gentle and warm smile upon hearing his words. She had previously considered the matter regarding her daughter. Having reached such an age, and staying outside for so long, coming back to a new brother or sister might be somewhat unsettling. Moreover, the higher the cultivation level she and Lu Chongqing achieved, the better the innate talent of the children they would have. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site a month later. Chongqing Hall. What twins? Lu Chongqing was checking Ling Zixio's health and a look of delighted surprise appeared on his face. Over the years, the family had given birth to 2 sets of twins. But he had never imagined that Ling Zixiao would actually be pregnant with twins. This development was pleasantly surprising for him. MHM. Ling Zixiao responded softly, her beautiful and elegant face blushing slightly and filled with sweet joy. It wasn't in vain, the efforts of your husband these past days. Lu Chongqing said with a look of joyful pride. He felt it was all worth it to spend so much time with Ling Zixiao. But in the next moment, he realized a problem. Wouldn't having twins mean that the efficacy of the spirit pill he had given Ling Zixiao would be divided between the 2 fetuses, causing its effects to weaken? Would it still guarantee that both offspring would possess a spiritual root? Ling Zixiao gave Lu Chongqing a sideward glance, finding him somewhat lacking in seriousness, and spoke softly. It should be dragon and phoenix twins, a boy and a girl. In that case, the boy can be the elder brother, and the girl the younger sister. She had initially planned to have both a son and a daughter, and now it was accomplished all at once. Good. Well, do it your way, Zixiao, and the names we picked out before can all be put to use, Lu Chongqing said cheerfully. He didn't continue to ponder the effects of the elixir but simply told Ling Zixiao to take extra care of her health. Afterwards, he went to check on the status of his other wives and children and to see how Chu Zhenjin and Lu Miaohuan were progressing with their heavenly longevity technique cultivation. With Lu Miao's guidance, both started without issues at the beginning. However, based on their feedback, Chu Zhenjin's auspicious tree was easier to refine, so her efficiency was comparatively faster. Luoyun Mountain Range. Atop a mountain peak, with pavilions and terraces, stood a supremely noble and stunningly beautiful person in a colorful palace dress. She stood with hands behind her back, gazing into the distance. Her dress and hair fluttered in the breeze, emanating a majestic presence. Master, a letter from the sect. At this moment, Xiao Shiyu, clad in a moon-white dress and with an aloof and cold demeanor, arrived at the peak and presented a jade slip to Yun Wanshang with respectful words. What letter? Yun Wanshang asked, turning back, her dignified and frosty beauty softening slightly. It's a secret message from the sect, only to be personally opened by you, Master, Xiao Shiyu said. Oh, may I see? Yun Wanshang said, lifting her hand to beckon. The jade slip in Xiao Shiyu's hand immediately turned into a ray of rainbow light and fell into the lightly lifted hands of Yun Wanshang. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Seeing the information inside the jade slip, Yun Wanshang's beautiful face revealed a surprised joy. Xiao Shiyu, seeing her master in such a state, expressed some surprise and curiosity. Her master, as the enforcement hall master, always bore a dignified air while on missions outside, and yet now she showed such joy. Your elder sister has successfully achieved core formation. The sect will soon be hosting a core formation grand ceremony for your sister. I must stay here to oversee matters and cannot return. Yun Wanshang informed. Shiyu, return to the sect immediately, convey congratulations to your sister on my behalf, explain the situation, and help her with some affairs. What, elder sister has achieved core formation? When Xiao Shiyu heard this, her cold and proud features revealed an excited beauty. After all, This was core formation. A realm countless cultivators dream of reaching. Once core formation was achieved, one would step into the ranks of high-rank cultivators, masters of their own fate. Even within the Qingyun sect, a nascent soul immortal would belong to the higher echelons with significant influence. Considering that when she first entered the sect, her sister Chu Qingyi was a foundation establishment cultivator, often out on missions, and now she had achieved core formation. Her thoughts briefly wandered before she returned to her own future and the supreme forgetful love technique. "Yes, master," she responded without dwelling further and gave a respectful bow. "Master, do you know the quality of elder sister's core formation?" Xiao Shiyu asked curiously. She was aware of her sister's extraordinary talent and the great expectations her master had for her, aiming for a superior gold core. "Your sister is still in closed-door cultivation to consolidate her cultivation level, so the letter did not reveal details, only mentioning that when your sister achieved core formation, spiraling clouds of spiritual energy reached 10 miles, which anticipates a high possibility of a superior gold core," Yun Wansheng said. While speaking, she gracefully raised her hand, and a jade slip appeared, tossing it to Xiao Shiyu. After returning, "Hand this jade slip over to your sister." "Yes, master." Xiao Shiyu accepted the jade slip and nodded. She then bid farewell to her master and left the Luoyun mountain range to return to the Qingyun sect. Bihu Lake Mountain. Lu Family Mansion. Che, a core formation grand ceremony, inviting cultivators from all over Jiang country, Lu Chongxing said, holding the invitation in hand, making a clicking sound with his tongue. This invitation came from the Qingyun sect. Half a year ago, Qingyun sect's fairy Chu Qingyi broke through to core formation. Under such circumstances, the Qingyun sect would naturally hold a grand ceremony for core formation. Chapter 848. Dragon and Phoenix Twins. Third Stage Music Mastery. After all, such a grand ceremony could elevate Qingyun sect's reputation and prestige to a whole new level. Thus, all the foundation establishment families and powers under Qinjian's rule had received an invitation and could attend the ceremony. Yuner, ask Qingzhou Mountain and 100 Birds Lake later about what gifts they plan to send, and our family will prepare accordingly, Lu Chongxing said to his son, Lu Yun. Attending such a ceremony naturally required a generous gift. He had no intention of being unorthodox or giving an exceptionally rare item. Just something somewhat superior to what Qingzhou Mountain and 100 Birds Lake would offer would suffice. "Yes, father," Lu Yun responded, nodding to his father's words. "Yuner, although you are the family head and busy with many matters daily, do not neglect your cultivation too much," Lu Chongxing said softly after glancing at his son. His son possessed a 7th-grade spiritual root, but his current cultivation level was only at the 5th level of qi refinement, which indeed lagged behind. However, he also knew that, on one hand, Lu Yun devoted his time to the family affairs. On the other hand, this son had 1 wife, 5 concubines, and 8 children. "Your child understands," Lu Yun responded respectfully upon hearing this. "Wuxia world." Sight, Lu Chongxing patted his son's shoulder and did not say much else. Cultivation was not something that could be forced. Lu Yun probably understood that even with effort, his talent meant there was no hope of reaching the foundation establishment without focusing on other areas. Later, Lu Chongsheng went to inspect the puppet factory and visit his son, Lu Xianji. Currently, of the Lu family's 3 major factories, the puppet factory, the wine brewing factory, and the talisman-making factory, only the puppet factory was thriving and showed great promise. The wine brewing aspect was profitable but only minimally so. Its future prospects were limited. Or to put it another way, even though Lu Chongxing possessed second-rank wine brewing skills, he couldn't make a hit product or break into the market without investing significant time testing it. As for the talisman-making factory, its earnings were even less. It was fair to say that his family also counted as a talisman path family, with everyone possessing some skill in talisman making. Through years of his guidance, his son Lu Xianji had reached the level of a high-grade puppet master. This talent was quite ordinary. Compared to some recruited puppet apprentices, even other children, it was nothing special. But fortunately, he was diligent in his work and competent in all aspects. With him managing the golden armor spirit bean, the core fusion formation, and the inscription skill, Lu Chongxing felt very reassured. "Father, the factory is now capable of producing Battle Beast Puppet number 4, but the process is not yet stable, and given the raw material costs, it's challenging to turn a profit if we scale up, so we can only use it to break into the market and gain a reputation. The child plans to test the waters at the auction, then gradually release it into the market. Lu Xianji reported on the factory situation to Lu Chongxing. All right, you can decide on these things yourself, Lu Chongxing said, nodding. Though he understood puppetry and had a general grasp of the business, he never interfered. He generally left it to his children. After inspecting the puppet factory, he went to see his beloved daughter, Lu Wangshu, to teach her cultivation and talisman making, and then he joined her in fishing. After many years of fishing, Mr. Lu, despite his poor luck, had also become skilled at it. Although it might seem he favored his daughter, after spending time with her, he would also pay attention to all his children. Of course, for talents like Lu Qingxian, Lu Xingyang, Lu Xingchen, and Lu Qingyan, he focused a bit more. After all, if the family were truly to rise to prominence, it needed a core group of strong leaders. And these talented sons were easier to develop. As for his son Lu Chuanjun, he spent most of his time in the Red Maple marketplace. Regarding this son, he, as a father, frankly lacked a sense of achievement. However, his daughter Lu Caizhen and Hong Yi's son, Hong Xuanji, were set to marry. Lu Chongxing didn't care much about this. After all, on the secular side, not only did his son Lu Wuyu marry Li Feiyu's daughter Li Shuer, but the two families had also intermarried. Hong Xuanji was commendable in his conduct and dealings. The only issue was Lu Chongxing felt this nephew wasn't entirely sincere towards his daughter. It seemed likely he partly intended to marry into the family to climb up socially. But since his daughter was willing and the young man treated her well, he had little to comment on. Congratulations, host, 70 of your progeny have broken through to martial Dao in 8, gaining a bloodline effect, probability of progeny increase by 5%, and a chance for a draw. That day, while Lu Chongxing was crafting a talisman, a system notification echoed in his mind. Martial path is doing well, well organized, Lu Chongxing said with a smile upon hearing the notification. I wonder what he'll draw this time? He opened the drawing system and immediately said, System draw. Instantly, a golden light began spinning on a light red wheel. After a moment, the golden light stopped on skills. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have acquired a 3rd rank music mastery. The reward has been placed in the system space, and the host can check it at any time. A symbol of music mastery appeared as a light orb from the big wheel, accompanied by the system voice. 3rd rank? Music mastery. Lu Chongxing looked at the reward, momentarily stunned, then speechless. The good news was admitting that among the skills, one could draw a 3rd rank skill. The bad news was, it was music mastery. Regarding it, Lu Chongxing was unsure what to say. After all, if he got something more useful, not to mention formation or artifact refining, even spirit plant, medicine, beast taming, goo insects, or swordsmanship would be many times better than music mastery. If it were 2nd rank music mastery, Lu Chongxing wouldn't feel so dismayed. After all, this wasn't his first time drawing a useless skill. Sigh. Music mastery then. While not very useful if I were to think about it, it might be of some use. Maybe even with a good command of music, I could capture the heart of some art-loving female cultivator, Lu Chongxing sighed, comforting himself. Presently, with a slight movement of his will, he looked at the music mastery skill in the system space. 3rd rank music mastery. Upon use, immediately obtain the full 3rd rank music mastery along with basic scores. Chapter 849. Shiyu, how about I go and ask your master for your hand in marriage? Activate. Lu Chongxing utilized the 3rd rank melody technique from his system space. Instantly, numerous pieces of knowledge about music mastery entered his mind. Introduction to the Path of Music, complete collection of 1st grade music mastery, complete collection of 2nd grade music mastery, complete collection of 3rd grade music mastery, playing the flute, blowing the xiao, strumming the qin. Great sounds are rare, elegant music needs no embellishment after a long time. This 3rd rank music mastery really has something to it. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight. Ko Lu Changsheng's expression became dazed, as if he was a world away when he opened his eyes, which revealed astonishment and surprise. Before this, although he was aware of the music mastery, his understanding was not profound. He only knew that in Jiang country there was a sect called the Huan Yin sect. This sect was famous for its music and dance. And many high-level performers in marketplaces and brothels knew some music and dance. They could cleanse the cultivators' souls and calm their spirits through music and dance. The more skilled could even help break through mental barriers and bottlenecks. But now, after acquiring the third-rank skills, Lu Chongqing realized that these methods were just a small part of music mastery. The skills he acquired, although basic, were comprehensive. Besides soothing the mind and dispelling heart demons, music mastery had many other technique aspects. For instance, integrating music techniques with wind techniques to attack people. Integrating divine sense attacks with music to confuse and mislead others. Or using illusions and bewitching techniques on people. Using music to aid in the distraction. I heard that the main cultivation of the Huan Yin sect is the musical technique, proficient in vocal and dance performances, with secondary studies in illusions and bewitching techniques. It seems that in their daily dual practices, they combine music with illusions and bewitching techniques. Lu Chongqing stroked his chin, deep in thought. I have the immortal beauty technique, the peach blossom goo, and even possess the flawless heavenly fragrance body, which are perfect for cultivating bewitching skills. If I were to switch to cultivating bewitching and music skills, wouldn't my future be limitless? Just then, Lu Chongqing had a sudden realization, feeling that his situation was particularly suited to follow the path of the Huan Yin sect. Firstly, his appearance and aura were already there. Secondly, the flawless heavenly fragrance body significantly enhanced bewitching techniques. However, thinking about confronting enemies like a male demon through bewitching techniques, Lu Chongqing felt a chill and immediately discarded the idea. Compared to such crooked paths, he still preferred honest, straightforward combat. However, it's possible to consider integrating music mastery with my talisman formation. While playing the flute and strumming the qin, simultaneously launch thousands of talismans, using them to bombard while the music causes interference. Lu Chongqing considered another direction. In his view, that would be a lot cooler. However, achieving this would not only require thorough familiarity with both the talisman path and path of music. It also demanded control over the caster's mental spirit. Otherwise, a single error could occur. Showing off can be fun, but let's forget about it in real fights. Lu Chongqing shook his head, dismissing the thought. Though confident he could multitask, his cultivation was not focused on music techniques, limiting the power he could wield with sound-based spells. Rather than confusing others with music, it was better to subdue enemies with talisman formations or combat with a magical sword or treasures. In the evening, at the Lu family mansion. After dinner, Lu Chongqing took out a bamboo flute and toyed with it in his hands. Then, he raised it to his lips and gently blew into it. Woo! The flute's sound was melodious and pleasant, attracting the astonished gazes of his wives, children and family members. Sri! Lu Miao's green jade luan bird, housed in the backyard, startled by the sound, fluttered its wings and danced in the air, emanating an ethereal aura. Lu Chongqing had initially thought to just show off. But at that moment, his heart became utterly serene. He felt an indescribable clarity, as if his spirit and body were transcending. After the song, no wonder they say music mastery aids in cultivating sentiments and breaking through mental barriers. It even helps oneself somewhat. Lu Chongqing slightly realized with an epiphany. Beautiful! Dear, do you also understand music? Dear, what's the name of this song? At that moment, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and Chu Zhenzhen, who witnessed the scene, were filled with admiration and curiosity. Especially Lu Miaohuan and Chu Zhenzhen, admiration and affection overflowed beautifully. Wow, Daddy is so amazing! Daddy, I want to hear more. Daddy, I want to learn this, I want to learn this. The children cried out in unison, especially Lu Wangshu, who ran right to her father's side, eyes sparkling, expressing her desire to learn. Haha, with nothing much to do, I dabbled a bit, which helps in cultivating sentiments. Lu Chongqing looked at his wife, his mood joyful, and spoke with a smile. Then he patted his beloved daughter's head and looked at his children. All right, another piece if you like it, Daddy can teach you. He was quite willing to teach his children music mastery, especially for someone like his daughter Lu Wangshu, who was not diligent in her duties. Immediately, Lu Chongxing continued to play. Without a fixed score, purely expressing his mood and emotions. Under the third rank skills, he created his own melody, filled with his current joy and spiritual satisfaction, soothing to the ears. After all, this was the life he pursued. Under the beautiful scenes created by flowers and the moon, a harmonious and content family, leisurely and free, immortal path evergreen. After the piece ended, again inciting admiration and acclaim from his wives and children, Lu Chongxing felt his mood brighten, thinking that this skill was indeed valuable. Then he sat aside and began teaching vocal music to his kids. For cultivators, embedding the score in a jade slip would allow for quick mastery. Chapter 850. Shiyu, how about I go and propose to your master on your behalf? The difficult part was integrating mana into the musical technique. Nonetheless, Lu Chongxing used the simplest and most direct teaching method, doing it himself, which conveyed a sense of achievement. Half a month later, Su Ruyan emerged from her retreat. She had successfully contracted the heavenly demon phoenix as her life-bound beast. Although the once-infant heavenly demon phoenix did not show a significant increase in strength after the full contract, it seemed to have grown up a lot. Husband. Su Ruyan came to see Lu Chongxing first thing. S.E.A. The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Clad in a fiery red dress, her tall and alluring figure was complemented by her red hair, which now seemed to have an added tinge of pale golden sheen, bestowing her with an even more noble sacred aura. Lu Chongxing had looked over the beast technique and knew that cultivating it would induce changes based on the contracted demon beast. Yes, not bad. Source. Web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. Lu Chongxing gazed at the Su Ruyan before him and nodded slightly. Senior Red Lotus was overseeing everything, so there was no chance for any mishaps during her cultivation. When do you plan to attempt foundation establishment? Lu Chongxing asked. I will follow my husband's wishes. Su Ruyan answered, her red lips gently parted. Do you need the foundation establishment elixir for your breakthrough? Lu Chongxing inquired. If she needed the foundation establishment elixir to break through, he would send Su Ruyan back to the Su family to do so, rather than wasting the elixir. After all, since he had given her the heavenly demon phoenix, he no longer entertained the thought of keeping her captive. On the one hand, she was nearly ready to return. On the other, he had promised Senior Red Lotus. As long as Su Ruyan was obedient and performed well, he would let her go, and might even reward her. Now that she had fulfilled these conditions, it would be against his nature to be deceitful. Moreover, it was not his intention to keep Su Ruyan confined within Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven indefinitely. It was not only impractical, but also a waste. According to what he knew, no one from Wugong Ridge Zheng family had managed to achieve foundation establishment for years, and the family was thoroughly under the control of the Yushui Su family, with no possibility of reclaiming the spirit land. The Yushui Su family had initially taken the Wugong Ridge Zheng family under their wing because they coveted the spirit land at Wugong Ridge. On the one hand, the location was rich in spiritual insects which suited the beast-taming Su family's industry. Additionally, they planned to use Wugong Ridge as a strategic location to expand business once Su Ruyan or another family youth managed a foundation establishment breakthrough. Hence, Lu Chongxing was considering releasing Su Ruyan to plant a seed for future possibilities. Now that I have the heavenly demon phoenix, I do not need the foundation establishment elixir. Su Ruyan said softly. The beast technique she practiced was profound, and her spiritual power had already been refined to perfection. Now with the heavenly demon phoenix contracted as her life-bound beast, she was confident she could break through without the elixir. All right, if that's the case, then attempt your foundation establishment here. It will also make it easier to explain when you return to the Su family after the breakthrough. Lu Chongxing stated. Return home? Hearing this, Su Ruyan's heart skipped a beat, and she suddenly looked up at Lu Chongxing with eyes brimming with joy and disbelief. She had thought she wouldn't be able to leave for decades. But now, Lu Chongxing was saying she could go back after her foundation establishment. She had nearly spent 8 years in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and it was impossible for her not to miss her home. After all, her parents and grandfather must be extremely worried, having not returned for so long. Of course, I made a promise before that as long as you behaved,
I would let you go.
Lu Chongqing looked into her incredulous eyes, pinched her cheek affectionately, and said with a light laugh,
Thank you, my husband.
In that moment, Su Ruyan's heart was filled with endless gratitude, and she was moved to tears. All right, spend the next few days resting well, and then prepare for your foundation establishment. Observing her reaction, Lu Chongqing gently stroked her smooth, shiny hair, and spoke softly. Then he continued, By the way, I need to speak with Senior Red Lotus. Senior Red Lotus. Su Ruyan immediately called for Red Lotus. Instantly, an ancient talisman, the size of 2 fingers and etched with bizarre beast patterns, flew out from her forehead. The talisman glowed, with countless tiny red specks emerging, coalescing into a sacred figure wearing a bejeweled crown and red gold embroidered lavish palace dress, with a perfect face and an ethereal form.
Young master.
Senior Red Lotus' gentle and elegant voice rang out. Senior Red Lotus, do you know of any methods to cultivate and rapidly grow a spirit vein, other than the spiritual origin pearl and spiritual spring? Is there anything that can rapidly promote the growth and advancement of a spirit vein? Lu Chongqing addressed Red Lotus with his question. Spiritual vein cultivation method?
Upon hearing this, Red Lotus said softly, The Vermilion Bird Palace where I was once situated indeed had methods to expedite the growth of spirit veins.
But these methods require the consumption of vast quantities of precious resources. They also require the arrangement by a feng shui master and dragon seeker. Senior Red Lotus spoke up, indicating she was aware of the heavenly and earthly treasures that could be used to speed up the growth of a spirit vein. However, unlike the simple presence of a spiritual origin pearl or spiritual spring, these required a feng shui master and dragon seeker to arrange. Otherwise, it would be difficult to integrate into the spirit vein and might even affect its natural conditions. While she was proficient in a number of skills, she had not mastered these 2 techniques. Feng shui master, dragon seeker. Lu Chongqing's brow quirked. He had heard of dragon seekers, known to be experts in the vein probing technique, skilled in locating spirit veins and spiritual springs. However, he hadn't heard of feng shui masters. That's right. Senior Red Lotus confirmed, and began to describe these professions to Lu Chongqing. Feng shui masters could comb through earth veins and alter feng shui patterns to accelerate the growth of spirit veins. High-rank feng shui masters could even influence the nebulous fortunes of the heavens and earth through feng shui layouts. This art was exceedingly rare, and only a very few could master it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 851. Shiyu, how about I ask your master for your hand in marriage? Dragon seekers, besides surveying spirit veins and spiritual springs, could also intercept the origin source of a spirit vein, thereby nurturing other spirit veins. Nurturing spirit veins has a simplest method, and that is to use spirit stones, especially supreme spirit stones. These kinds of stones not only contain abundant spiritual energy but can also continuously extract spiritual energy from the earth and sky, impacting the surrounding environment. However, if you wish to cultivate a second-grade spirit vein to a third-order spirit vein, the resources consumed far exceed those required to cultivate a nascent soul cultivator. Hong Lian continued, indicating that it was very difficult to quickly grow and advance a spirit vein. Like many great clans among the immortal sects, they relied on the gradual accumulation over the days and months to nurture their spirit veins.
Sigh.
Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing exhaled deeply, feeling somewhat headache. He felt that unless he happened upon a large quantity of spiritual springs or had skills in feng shui and dragon-seeking technique, it was impossible to cultivate the family's spirit vein to third rank before core formation. Even acquiring those skills, given his family's financial power, it would not be easy to cultivate it to the third rank. All right, I understand. Source: Web novel. Com, updated on Omicron. Lu Chongqing nodded, then asked Hong Lian about some other matters. In early years, Ling Zixiao had been his encyclopedia. But now, Hong Lian had taken over Ling Zixiao's role in this regard. 1.5 months later, Su Ruyan began her foundation establishment. With Hong Lian around, Lu Chongqing was not worried. Yet, considering safety, he still handed over his own foundation establishment elixir to Su Ruyan. In case she encountered problems during the process, she could consume it. That day, through a yin-yang sensing talisman, Lu Chongqing found out that Xiaofan had come to Blue Lake Mountain, and he immediately went to meet her. It had been years since he and Xiaofan had parted. "Xiyu, have you finished your tasks at the Luoyun mountain range?" Lu Chongqing saw Xiaofan in front of him, clad in a moon-white dress, her face noble and cool, and he spoke with a smile. "My senior sister has broken through to core formation, so I have come back to congratulate her, to preside over the ceremony. I found out Chongqing had returned, so I came to see." Xiaoxia's eyes softened as she spoke gently. She had mainly come to see Lu Chongqing and to visit her daughter. "I see." Lu Chongqing nodded, understanding that the affairs of the Luoyun mountain range were not concluded so quickly. He stepped forward and embraced Xiaoxia's slender waist, looking at her exceptionally beautiful face that resembled the nine heavens' bright moon, and said in a low voice, "Xiyu, I've missed you." Such words, rich with tender affection, made Xiaoxia's delicate body tremble slightly. She initially had some words at the tip of her tongue, which she then swallowed, emitting only a delicate hum through her nose. Lu Chongqing held her tightly, whispering sweet nothings in her ear. At that moment, he too felt Xiaoxia's flowing, unending longing. Then, the two exchanged their feelings of longing. It was unclear how much time had passed as Lu Chongqing continued to hold the fairy Xiyu tightly. The fairy's hair became disheveled, with strands sticking to her now flushed beautiful face, her bright eyes half open, shimmering with emotion. "Xiyu, what if I go to the Qingyun sect and ask your master for your hand in marriage?" Lu Chongqing softly expressed his longing for Xiaoxia. Ia the Novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Ah! Xiaoxia's soft body felt like silken thread as she quietly nestled in Lu Chongqing's embrace, motionless, savoring the lingering thoughts of longing. Upon hearing Lu Chongqing's words, her heart surged with joy, shyness, nervousness, and a flurry of emotions. During her journey back, she had struggled internally, knowing that if she continued to indulge in this relationship, there would be no hope for her core formation in the future. But abandoning this relationship was also unbearable for her. So she had planned to set a deadline with Lu Chongqing, to commence a strict retreat once she had broken through the late foundation establishment stage. But unexpectedly, upon seeing Lu Chongqing, all the prepared words could not be spoken. And she was utterly disoriented by Lu Chongqing's abruptly mentioned proposal. "Chongqing, how did you suddenly bring this up?" Xiaoxia said somewhat bewildered. "I feel it's too unfair to you, Xiyu. So I want to be with you officially. Besides, Wang Shu is quite grown up now. It's not right for you to keep avoiding others. Xiyu, I want to tell everyone that you are the lady of the Lu family." Lu Chongqing looked at Xiaoxia and spoke softly. Though his initial attraction to Xiaoxia had been superficial, with both harboring ulterior motives, over the years, they had developed deep feelings for one another. When he initially established the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, he held a wedding ceremony for all his wives to make up for what they missed, detecting a hint of longing in Xiaoxia's expression. She wanted to be with him officially, to hold a grand ceremony. So, he had promised to gain her master's approval, to go to the Qingyun sect and ask for her hand in marriage, to hold a grand ceremony. He didn't know if he was approved yet, but he believed his situation was worthy of asking for her hand in marriage. Whether it would succeed or not was another matter, but he had to show his determination. "Chongqing." Xiaoxia lightly pressed her moist lips together, her expression vacant. "Xiyu, is there something troubling you?" Lu Chongqing, holding her fairy-like body, asked gently. He had already keenly sensed that Xiaoxia had something she wanted to say during this visit, so he had swiftly brought up the matter. "It's nothing," Xiaoxia gently shook her head. "We've been together for so long. Isn't there anything you feel uncomfortable saying?" Lu Chongqing spoke openly and calmly. "This time, my senior sister's breakthrough made me." After a moment of silence, Xiaoxia softly voiced her thoughts. She couldn't bear to deceive Lu Chongqing, nor did she want to mislead him. Lu Chongqing sighed internally, realizing Xiaoxia was still struggling with this issue. Or rather, Xiaoxia had previously kept this issue buried in her heart, deliberately avoiding thinking about it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 852. Shiyu, how about I ask your master for your hand in marriage? For her elder sister Chu Qingyi had a breakthrough core formation, prompting Xiaofan to once again seriously consider this issue. Lu Chongqing could understand this. After all, if one's Dao heart were not steadfast and their pursuit of cultivation not sincere enough, Xiaofan would not have chosen to practice the supreme forgetful love technique in the first place. Shiyu, trust me, by the time you reach core formation, I will certainly have found a completely compatible technique. Lu Chongqing, holding her jade-like hand, continued to speak with a serious and determined expression. Even though he had no guarantee in his heart, he still repeated these words, providing her with a sense of security. Seeing Xiaoxia's expression still somewhat tangled and distressed, Lu Chongqing changed the subject. Shiyu, what do you think about what I just said? Kaiyun True Immortal should be aware of my existence. When I previously went to Qingyun's sect, I was troubled by Lady Meng. It was your master who helped me. This should mean that the True Immortal reluctantly recognizes me, right? Lu Changsheng's face displayed a hint of a smile as he said, this time, for your sister Qingyi Fairy's core formation celebration, I have also received an invitation from Qingyun's sect. How about I accompany you to meet Kaiyun True Immortal then? Master has not returned. She is still presiding over the Luoyun mountain range. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Zero. Zio Xia replied subconsciously. If the True Immortal has not returned, then we will wait for her. Whenever she is back, inform me, and I will go with you to meet her. Lu Changsheng's hand was gently caressing the smooth and delicate body of the fairy, seizing the moment to continue persuasively. Xiaoxia's eyebrows knitted, her pearl-like teeth gently biting her moist cherry lips, and her beautiful eyes showing a hint of bewilderment. Wasn't she just talking about core formation? How did it become about meeting her master? All right, stop worrying so much. With me here, you can relax. Lu Chongqing, watching the expression on Xiaoxia's face, said gently and continued the intimate moment. After a while, the two had their moment and got dressed. Xiaoxia, thinking about the promise she just made to accompany Lu Chongqing to see her master, still felt a bit dazed. But following her heart, she indeed wanted to be above board and openly be with Lu Chongqing. Let's go. Wang Shu will be delighted to know you've returned. Lu Chongqing said gently to the fairy-like beauty before him. MHM. Xiaoxia heard mention of her daughter and her eyes were filled with affection. Then the two flew toward Baishui Lake. After all, aside from classroom time and sitting meditation time, Lu Wangshu was usually by Baishui Lake. Before long, they saw their daughter by Baishui Lake, with the cold blue mysterious turtle pulling a small boat. This boat was not ordinary. Not only was it pulled by a mysterious turtle, but it also had a tea stove, a fishing creel storage bag, a bait box, a fishing hook, defense formations, speed formations, and a small attack cannon. This was a simple puppet boat modified by Lu Xianji for his little sister. At that moment, Lu Wangshu, in her pink and white dress, stood on the small boat holding a jade flute, producing a clear and pleasing sound. When did Wangshu learn to play the jade flute? Xiaoxia showed delight and surprise upon seeing her daughter's actions. She had once taught her daughter the piano, but the girl's interest was lukewarm, and she stopped learning after a while. CTH Novelfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Wangshu. Oh, Lu Wangshu, you really are a genius. Lu Chongqing, watching his daughter's actions, commented with a degree of speechlessness. Recently, his daughter had been pestering him to learn musical techniques, and he thought his daughter had finally come around to learn something elegant. But at this moment, seeing many spiritual fish attracted by his daughter's flute, he instantly understood why she had learned it. He really couldn't fathom why his daughter loved fishing so much. Just then, the lake water suddenly splashed and churned. An enormous fish, its body a deep red and its whiskers long, was caught on Lu Wangshu's fishing rod and emerged from the water's surface. It opened its mouth, revealing a full set of sharp teeth, almost a demon beast, and charged towards Lu Wangshu's boat. It finally took the bait. Lu Wangshu saw this scene, her face brimming with joy, and immediately acted with her spiritual power. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! A gust of cold wind fired from the boat's small cannon. As the large fish was stiffened by the cold wind, another cannon fired a bolt of small lightning, completely immobilizing the fish, which was then pulled aboard by Lu Wangshu.
Dad, Mom.
At that time, Lu Wangshu looked up at Lu Chongqing and Xiao Xia in the sky, a look of surprise on her face. Then she excitedly called out, "Look, I caught a carp king. I invite you both to drink fish soup tonight."
Wangshu.
Xiao Xia stepped forward, looking at her radiant and beautiful daughter with tender affection in her eyes. Although they were mother and daughter, standing together they resembled sisters, with very similar features. Xiao Xia, having practiced the supreme forgetful love technique, even when facing Lu Chongqing and Lu Wangshu, had a gentle yet somewhat cold and noble demeanor. Lu Wangshu, on the other hand, was like Xiao Xia in her younger days, her face always carrying a bright and easygoing smile, her demeanor graceful. She shared her joy with her mother, the newly learned piece of music and her beloved little boat. Although the boat was made for free by Lu Shenji, she still used her own private money to pay for the materials. Moreover, the little boat was not perfected in one go. She had later added and upgraded several components. Lu Chongqing quietly watched his lively and charming daughter, not saying anything to her. Although he held great expectations for her, he wasn't too strict. As long as she wasn't completely absorbed in play to the detriment of her ambition, it was fine. Moreover, although Lu Wangshu loved to play, she was very sensible and didn't fall behind too much in cultivation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 853. Nangong Mealy. Let you taste the unique love goo of the Five Poisons cult. Xiao Xia had matters to attend to and did not stay at by Lake Mountain for long. The next day, she returned to the Qingyun sect. Because of this, Lu Wangshu felt a tinge of disappointment. However, lucky for her, she was spirited and cheerful, and by the next day, she had bounced back to her usual self. Ling Zixiao might have gotten pregnant and felt bored reading books alone in Chongqing Hall, so she occasionally visited the Lu family mansion to chat with Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenjin, and others to relieve her boredom. Lu Chongqing was very gratified by this situation. Before, Ling Zixiao's demeanor truly tended to be haughty and solitary. Apart from him, she was somewhat close to Lu Miaoge. Normally, when chatting with Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Zhenjin, and others, although she was pleasant and cheerful, it was mostly out of politeness, never taking the initiative to start a conversation. Now that she was willing to reach out on her own, in Lu Changsheng's view, it was a good thing, fully integrating into the family. During these days, Lu Changsheng's daily routine, besides the usual cultivation and talisman making, included spending time with his wives and teaching his children. He occasionally gave guidance on Li Xingruo's alchemy. Source: Web novel. Com, updated on N0 New. After all, the news of his identity as a second-order alchemist spread, leading many people from the surrounding area to request elixir medicines. But he did not wish to spend a large amount of time on alchemy. Thus, he thought to train Li Xingrua to become a second-order alchemist as soon as possible, which would make things much easier for him. Just like that, 3 months passed by in the blink of an eye. On this day, in the alchemy chamber on Lake Heart Island. "Open!" Li Xingrua lightly shouted, her hands performing gesture incantations continuously, causing the top of the green pill furnace before her to fly open with a bang, and steam filled the air. Following that, pill after pill the size of a longan, of a brown hue, flew into her hands. This batch of harmonizing energy elixirs amounted to 13 pills. 7 were of prime quality, and 6 were inferior. But just this alone was enough to fill Li Xingrua with immense excitement. Because such a success rate signified she had become a genuine second-order alchemist. She could make money by concocting harmonizing energy elixirs. Looking at Lu Chongqing beside her with a face full of excitement and eagerness, she said as if offering a treasure, "Mountain Master, I've succeeded." "Not bad, Xingrua. Congratulations on becoming a second-order alchemist." Lu Chongqing looked at her joyful and excited expression and spoke with a light chuckle. "It's all thanks to the Mountain Master's guidance. Otherwise I wouldn't know when I could have brought the harmonizing energy elixir to this stage and become a second-order alchemist." Li Xingrua, realizing she had gotten a bit too excited and lost composure, spoke softly. She was well aware that her rapid progress was not only due to Lu Changsheng's daily teaching and guidance but also because of his strong cultivation of her. After all, whether it was alchemy or the 100 arts of cultivation, one couldn't go without the practice character. Even with the advice of a master, without the chance to try hands-on, it is difficult to achieve much. With your alchemy talent, Xingrua, even without me, it wouldn't take too long for you to become a second-order alchemist. Lu Chongqing, almost instinctively, patted her head gently as he spoke. This gesture made Li Xingruo's cheeks blush slightly, feeling somewhat shy, yet somehow enjoying it. In earlier years, when Lu Chongqing was disguised as Yi Fan, his gentle instructions reminded her of the times her father taught her alchemy. Now, Lu Chongqing no longer disguised himself. Such a handsome and fairy-like visage, and a demeanor like a graceful orchid or a robust pine, occasionally brought different thoughts to her mind. Especially when she recalled the playful words Sister Ling once said. Regarding Li Xingruo's advancement to a second-order alchemist, Lu Chongqing did not hold an elaborate ceremony to celebrate as he had done on Qingzhou Mountain, but instead held a small celebration for her at home. He also had Lu Yun upgrade Li Xingruo's benefits and welfare by a notch. That evening, Lu Chongqing received another piece of good news. One of the concubines at home had become pregnant.
It wasn't in vain that I've been trying so hard lately.
A happy color appeared on Lu Changsheng's face. Sarch * the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Because he saw that the total number of his offspring was about to reach 200, there was a high likelihood the system would give out more child money. Hence, he had been relatively more active and diligent this year. With this newly conceived child, his total number of offspring had finally reached 200.
However, it seems I should take in another concubine.
Lu Chongqing calculated the number of his concubines awaiting pregnancy and silently pondered. Although most of the concubines he brought home were for the purpose of having children, he could not treat them entirely as breeding tools. After about 5 or 6 births, he usually would not let them continue to give birth. On one hand, continuing to do so was inhumane. On the other hand, there were multiple considerations. For example, it would not look good if the children of the concubines grew up and saw their own mothers still giving birth continuously. Moreover, Lu Ancestor's ability to attract female cultivators to offer themselves revolved around his reputation and word of mouth. If female cultivators married into by Lake Mountain and had to give birth until death, Lu Ancestor's reputation would be ruined long ago. Let alone female cultivators offering themselves, it might even become easy to be targeted by some female cultivator bigshots as a member of the demon path. Let's wait until Zi Xiao has given birth before considering it. Lu Chongqing shook his head.
He might not be as respectful or considerate towards the feelings of his concubines, but he would try his best to consider and care about the feelings of his wives and Dao companions.
Like now, with Ling Zixiao still pregnant, it really would not be good to take in another concubine or buy maids. Back then, Fei Yu said he would return in 2 to 3 years. Now it's almost 3 years, and Fei Yu still hasn't come back. He hasn't really encountered any trouble, has he? At this moment, Lu Chongqing thought of his good friend Li Fei Yu at the Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Back when he returned from Yu country, he had a premonition that the substitute talisman he gave Li Fei Yu had been activated. Now, as the 3-year period mentioned by Li Fei Yu was almost up, his absence truly worried Lu Chongqing. Pingon has also almost been out for a year by now. I wonder how his experience has been. Lu Chongqing then thought of his son, Lu Pingon. Unknowingly, this son had also been traveling outside for a year. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 854. Nangong Mealy. Let you taste my 5 poisons cult's unique love goo. Lu Pingon had mentioned that this trip would roughly take 3 to 5 years, and he would return once he broke through to the energy refinement late stage. But there shouldn't be any issues on Yao Yao's end. She just broke through to the 4th level energy refinement not too long ago. Even though she has a 2nd grade spiritual root and possesses the flawless heavenly fragrance body, she couldn't possibly cultivate at such a pace without Nangong Mealy's nurturing. Lu Chongqing thought of his daughter, Nangong Yao Yao, whom he had not yet met. He had previously sensed that the threads of affection on Nangong Mealy had been severed, and he was worried about his daughter and Meng Xiaofan's situation. Now, seeing that his daughter was making rapid progress in her cultivation, he knew there probably wasn't anything to worry about. After all, even a tiger doesn't eat its young. Nangong Meili had decided to give birth to this child, likely under the influence of the Lockhart goo. But under those circumstances, she must have had some willingness, some maternal love. I wonder if Nangong Meili will come to Zhang country to cause trouble for me. Lu Chongqing pondered within his heart. Although he had changed his attitude afterward and even gifted the exotic treasure, the Misty Sky Bead, to Nangong Meili, source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron 0. Before that, he had indeed been quite disrespectful to the nascent soul immortal, clashing rather fiercely. What if she really comes looking for trouble? If I use the Misty Sky Bead to disguise, won't I be in trouble? At this moment, the thought of the Misty Sky Bead's effect seemed to strike Lu Chongqing hard. This treasure, if used to infiltrate a family, could be a devastating weapon. That's not right. I have Mount Sumeru with me. As long as Mount Sumeru stays alert, there shouldn't be much of a problem, right? Lu Chongqing paused, and then went to consult Mount Sumeru on this matter. However, since Mount Sumeru had not seen the effect of the Misty Sky Bead, it could not be certain. If that's the case, I need to be careful. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. 5 Poisons Cult. Tianzhu Peak. Within a resplendent palace. Xiaochan, go and collect these materials and goo insects for your master, Nangong Meili instructed her daughter, Nangong Yaoyao, handing a jade slip to Meng Xiaochan. Yes, master. Meng Xiaochan accepted the jade slip and took a quick look. Ha! Meng Xiaochan was surprised and doubtful as she looked at the materials listed on the jade slip. As a true disciple of the 5 Poisons cult, she naturally knew what these goo insects and materials were used for. Love goo. Why was master preparing to make love goo? Could it be because of Lu Lang? Was master planning to use his own methods against him? But Lu Lang had a heavenly goo within him. Even if the love goo crafted by master was of an extremely high grade, it might not necessarily be able to contend with the goo in Lu Lang, would it? At this moment, Meng Xiaochan felt conflicted, wondering whether to tell her master about the heavenly goo. But if she told her master, wouldn't that harm Lu Lang? Xiaochan, what's wrong? Nangong Meili noticed Meng Xiaofan's odd expression and asked with a voice that was soft and alluring. The disciple will make the arrangements right away. Meng Xiaochan regained her composure, bowed politely in response, and then left the hall. It seems Xiaochan has guessed why I am crafting the love goo. Nangong Meili watched her departing disciple, her phoenix eyes narrowing slightly, swirling with a magical luster. Just as Meng Xiaochan suspected, the love goo was indeed intended for Lu Chongqing. Although their encounter was brief, she knew that he was no simple character. To have him willingly cultivate the immortal golden core for her, she had to use some tricks. Thus, she thought of the unique love goo of the 5 Poisons cult. This goo would not only make the affected person fall in love with her, but also drive them to overcome all dangers just to be with her. Its effects even surpassed those of the Lockhart goo. After all, the Lockhart goo subtly influences others to develop feelings of affection. But once separated, its effects could fade. However, the effect of the love goo made the afflicted desire to never part, to be together forever. With this love goo, not only could she control Lu Chongqing, but she could also get him to relieve Meng Xiaochan of her goo. Lockhart goo. Lu Chongqing, I will let you taste the power of the 5 Poisons cult's unique love goo. Nangong Meili murmured to herself, her beautiful eyes shimmering. Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Qingwan Peak. In a cave mansion halfway up the mountain. Foundation establishment. Success. Li Feiyu opened his eyes, and 2 sparks of fire appeared, then slowly dissipated. He touched his face and palms, a look of thrilled satisfaction spreading across his features. Foundation establishment. This was the realm he had longed for, dreaming of reaching. At last, he had achieved it. Quite some time must have passed outside, right? Li Feiyu gazed towards the outside of his cave mansion, not bothering to consolidate his cultivation level. He opened the cave mansion and stepped out. Outside the cave mansion, a man in his 50s or 60s, dressed in a yellow robe, stood with his hands behind his back. Seeing Li Feiyu open the door to his cave mansion, The man's face revealed a mix of surprise and astonishment. Then he smiled, stepped forward, and bowed. Congratulations to Daoist Li on breaking through to Foundation Establishment. I am fortunate to break through Foundation Establishment, thanks to City Lord. Li Feiyu smiled, nodding respectfully towards the peak of Qinghuan Peak. His successful Foundation establishment owed much to the Azure Phoenix Immortal. However, if he were to truly express gratitude, it would also be for Lu Changsheng's life-saving talismans and treasure map. Otherwise, he could never have gained such an opportunity. Now that Daoist Li has emerged, you may report to Qinghuan Hall. This is a small token of appreciation from me, congratulating Daoist Li on his breakthrough to Foundation establishment. In the future, please look kindly upon me. The yellow-robe old man spoke, his eyes revealing a touch of envy, as he presented a brocade box. He had heard that this man was once a loose cultivator, but by some stroke of luck, he caught the eye of the City Lord, the Azure Phoenix Immortal, who bestowed upon him a Foundation Establishment elixir and Foundation Establishment spirit objects. As long as he succeeded in Foundation Establishment, he would be able to join the Azure Phoenix Guards and take up the position of Capital Commandant. Now that he had successfully achieved Foundation Establishment, his future was limitless. Steward, you flatter me. Sir the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 855. Nangong Mealy. Let you taste my 5 poisons cult's unique love goo. Li Feiyu felt a touch of emotion as he accepted the gift. He still remembered the time during the Beast Tide when he had caught a glimpse of Steward He from afar. Back then, as a Foundation Establishment cultivator, Steward He seemed unreachable to him. But now, Steward He was treating him with such courtesy. Li Feiyu knew in his heart that this was entirely because of the Azure Phoenix True Immortal. His current power might not necessarily match that of Steward He. The courteous attitude was entirely because they were in the city named Azure Phoenix Immortal City. He did not think much, bowed his hands, and then headed to report at the Azure Phoenix Hall. Bihu Lake Mountain. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Sister Miaoga, please pay more attention to the family in the coming days. Source. Web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron. Omicron, Zi Xiao, remember to take good care of your body. I will come back immediately after the ceremony is over, Lu Chongqing said to his wife, Lu Miaoga, and Ling Zixiao. Now, at Qingyun's sect, Fairy Qingyi's core formation ceremony was still half a month away. Although his Bihu Lake Mountain was close to Qingyun's sect, it would not be feasible to just time his travel on the dot. Thus, he and Lu Yuanzhong and others had arranged to go together. Don't worry, Chongqing, the family is safe with me here, Lu Miaoga said softly, her face gentle and beautiful. These days, because Su Ruyan was focusing on her Foundation establishment, she had not cultivated but spent most of her time making talismans. In her free time, she used Tai True Water to nourish Ling Zixio's physical body. Although Ling Zixio's body had recovered, being pregnant still drained a lot of her vitality. Thus, using Tai True Water to nourish her body was beneficial not only for her but also for the fetus inside her. This too could be considered winning from the womb. Okay, I'm leaving now. Lu Chongqing gently hugged his wife and Dao companion, then rode the flying shuttle to Qingzhou Mountain. By this time, Bai Yunyang was already waiting at Qingzhou Mountain and courteously bowed when he saw Lu Chongqing arrive. Then the three of them set off together for Qingyun's sect. Families like the Wugong Ridge Zheng family, which had no Foundation Establishment cultivator seated at home, did not receive an invitation this time. However, such small families would usually send someone to Qingyun's sect to leave a gift at the gate and then depart. After all, an immortal sect like Qingyun would not care about these small families, but those below them might. So this had also become a customary practice. Jinyang sect, the back cliff of Tianyuan Peak. Lu Qingshan, clad in a gold-white magical robe, sat motionless. Threads and wisps of golden sword chi emanated from his body, filling the air with a sharp aura that seemed capable of tearing the heavens and shifting the sun and moon. This mere sharp aura alone was enough to give others a sense of irresistible reverence, diminishing their own momentum by a third. Not far away, Yan Yuan, dressed in a luxurious red gown and appearing languid, sipped her drink and marveled at her disciple, who was undergoing a breakthrough. Ever since his parents visited, not only had his cultivation surged dramatically, but his progression in the sword Dao was also remarkably swift. It was as if he had clarity of the sword heart, mastering several sword techniques and entering the first realm of the sword Dao, sword Qi like a rainbow. Now, just breaking through to the 9th level of energy refinement, he already exhibited such an unrivaled sharp aura. It was imaginable how astonishing his future growth would be. Boom! Lu Qingshan's spiritual power surged within him, sending a gust of wind that made his robes flutter and dust swirl around him. He opened his eyes, looked towards Tunyun True Immortal not far away, rose and bowed his hands. Master! For him, breaking through to the 9th level of energy refinement was just a natural progression, nothing too surprising or joyful. Not bad. You've reached the 9th level of energy refinement so quickly. How is your cultivation of the true Yang 12 swords? Yan Yuan, holding a gourd of wine, took a sip and asked casually. As a nascent soul immortal, she could naturally see that such changes in her disciple were connected to his parents. Especially after tasting the wine gifted by Lu Chongqing, she detected a hint of the flavor of the spiritual eye spring. Knowing this was not a treasure an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator could produce. Please instruct me, master. Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan bowed, then produced a golden magical sword in his hand. Chu Yang. His lips slightly parted as he uttered 2 words. With his words his magical sword thrummed, and a white gold sword Qi emerged, breathing in and out unsteadily. As Lu Qingshan's eyebrows raised, he sliced through the air, shooting forth and piercing a giant rock in the distance. Chao Yang! Lu Qingshan's magical sword shone brilliantly, releasing an overwhelmingly dominant sword Qi that seemed as if a golden sun was faintly visible, spreading dazzling light that made it hard for one to keep their eyes open. The golden sun transformed into over a dozen sharp sword Qi bursts towards the trees ahead, causing them to burst into flames and turn into charred remains in an instant when pierced by the sword Qi. Wu Yang slash! Lu Qingshan's magical sword suddenly slashed forward in his hand. Sar the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In an instant, a sword wheel resembling a golden sun rolled forth, leaving a deep trench in the earth ahead. After 3 swords, he did not continue. The true Yang 12 swords could only be used up to the first 3 swords in the Qi refinement realm. This true Yang 12 swords of yours? Tianyuan True Immortal watched the 3 moves Lu Qingshan executed, her brows slightly furrowed. Even though Lu Qingshan possessed a Gongjin body constitution and cultivated the great Gongjin sword art, the power was somewhat astonishing. Moreover, his sword technique made it seem as if he had a style of his own. Apart from the true Yang 12 swords, I have also looked into sword techniques such as the profound water sword technique, the green lotus sword art, and the slaying character art. Even though these sword techniques are different, in my view, they ultimately converge to the same path, differing only in difficulty, hence the distinctions. So in the past few days, I thought about adapting this sword technique to better suit me, making it more handy and natural to use, Lu Qingshan stated, standing tall with a light smile on his face. After obtaining the Seed of Law, not only had his sword Dao talent increased, but his appearance had also subtly changed. His originally handsome face, with rosy lips and white teeth, now displayed more angular features with a heroic air, and his eyebrows were sharp like swords, making him a true epitome of robust and stellar features. More suited to oneself. Upon hearing this, Tianyuan True Immortal stunned and unable to speak. Although it said that techniques and magical powers must constantly be broken down and integrated with one's understanding and insights, such a statement coming from a Qi refinement cultivator was filled with discomfort. Especially since the true Yang 12 swords was considered top-tier sword technique. Have you encountered any problems with this sword technique? Tianyuan True Immortal's face, previously relaxed and casual, now showed some seriousness. The 4th move, Shangyang, requires foundation establishment and the digestion of mana to be executed, so I thought if that's the case, simplifying this move might make it executable even in the Qi refinement realm. Lu Qingshan shared his thoughts and queries. Besides cultivating the great Gongjin sword art, under Lu Changsheng's guidance, he had also contemplated the first 2 layers of the 7 Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture. This mutual referencing deepened his understanding of sword techniques. However, after Lu Chongqing finished teaching, he left, and many aspects were still not clear to Lu Qingshan.
Your thinking is not wrong.
Tianyuan True Immortal didn't accuse him of being overly ambitious but explained the principles involved. Additionally, she noted that if a high-level sword move was simplified, the effects and power might not necessarily be strong. It could be more powerful, but the excessive digestion might be detrimental in combat. Chapter 856. Core Formation Grand Ceremony. Twins born. Qingyun Sect. Due to the core formation ceremony, the Qingyun sect had been bustling with excitement recently, like a market in session. Countless cultivators rushed to Qingyun sect to offer congratulations. Even many loose cultivators came near the Qingyun mountain range. At the foot of the mountain, they hoped to encounter some esteemed person who would take notice of them and thus grant them an opportunity. CTH Novel. F. Iyer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After Lu Chongxing, Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang, and others arrived at Qingyun sect, they presented their gifts and were arranged to reside in the guest quarters, waiting for the ceremony to begin and to observe it. Cultivators like them, at the foundation establishment stage, were naturally given a unified reception by the Qingyun sect disciples. Only the Heavenly Sword sect, Wuxia sect, Spirit Taming sect, Huanin sect, and Azure Phoenix Immortal City, such influential forces at the nascent soul level, would have a steward from Qingyun sect to receive and make arrangements. However, this ceremony still allowed Lu Chongxing to meet many family forces here. Among them, many family ancestors and stewards invited Lu Chongxing to visit their homes whenever he was free, as the younger generations admired him. After all, in the entire Jiang country cultivation realm, the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family was not really significant, and many people hadn't even heard of them. But in the Qingyun region, among the foundation establishment family forces, the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family still had a certain reputation and importance. And those who recognized his name knew that this Lu ancestor was fond of beauties and loved having children. Because of this, people were willing to make his acquaintance through such means, looking to connect with a promising second-rank talisman master and alchemist. What? Azure Phoenix Immortal venturing into the Myriad Beasts mountain range and returning severely injured? In an elegantly serene courtyard, Lu Chongxing was having tea and chatting with several foundation establishment cultivators. One of the elders shared a piece of news, provoking surprise among the listeners. After all, this was about the Azure Phoenix Immortal, the master of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, Jiang Kingdom's #1 independent cultivator. Years ago, it had even been said that he single-handedly fought against 3 great demons and ultimately slew one of them. A remarkable feat. This matter is just a rumor, but the fact that Qinghuan Peak has sent people to prohibit such rumors only adds to the credibility of these rumors. This elder unconsciously lowered his voice. I had heard rumors long ago that Azure Phoenix Immortal was severely injured and had gone into closed-door cultivation, so this news might not necessarily be true. To see if this news is true or not, one only needs to watch the situation in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. If the public order there worsens, it would prove the rumor true. I recently visited Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and currently there is no evident change. If Azure Phoenix Immortal was really severely injured, there might be significant turmoil in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. The others nearby expressed their thoughts, their words quite sentimental. However, most people didn't pay much attention to this news. After all, Qingyun region was far from Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and only a very few family businesses reached there. So even if the leadership in Azure Phoenix Immortal City changed, it wouldn't greatly impact the family forces present here. After chatting for a while, as it was getting late, everyone dispersed. At that moment, Lu Chongxing sensed a dense surge of mana spontaneously flowing into his qi ocean core, transforming into droplets of liquid mana. Is it Qingshan? Lu Chongxing immediately guessed that it was his son, Lu Qingshan, who had made a breakthrough to the 9th level of energy refinement. After all, aside from his son Lu Chuanjun, who had overtaken others on the strength of his uncle Chu Change's help, his son Lu Qingshan was currently far ahead. Name, Lu Qingshan. Lifespan, 23 of 118. Talent, 6th grade spiritual root, Gongjin body constitution, medium grade spirit body. Cultivation level, 9th level energy refinement. Talent, Sword Dao compatibility, 84%. 23 years old and already at the 9th level of energy refinement, probably in another 3 to 5 years. Hell breakthrough to foundation establishment. Lu Changsheng's face showed a hint of a smile, making a sound of approval. This kind of cultivation talent in his son, even if placed within the immortal sects, belonged to the top echelons. Also, his sword Dao talent has risen to 84%. Lu Chongxing looked at the talent display, pride glowing in his eyes. Originally, his son's sword Dao talent was decent but just passable, barely considered genius. But now, this level of sword Dao talent was undeniably genius. And it had been only just over 2 years. As time passed, his son's sword Dao talent would continue to improve, making him an unmatched genius in the path of the sword Dao. Now that the child has broken through to the late stage of energy refinement, the enhancement to my cultivation level is also considerably more noticeable. I wonder how much improvement it could bring me if Chuanjin or Qingshan breaks through to foundation establishment. Lu Chongxing looked at the liquid mana within his Qi ocean core. When his children had just begun cultivation, it was like only a few streams of air entering into Elixir Lake, unable to even form mana. But now that the child had advanced to the late stage of energy refinement, they could finally form a few drops of liquid mana. He greatly anticipated his children's breakthrough to foundation establishment. After all, living a leisurely and relaxed life in cultivation was impossible through his own harsh cultivation. But if he wanted rapid improvement in his cultivation level, he could only rely on his children striving hard. 9 days later. Qingyun Sect. A huge plaza built from white jade. This place was filled with cultivators and Qingyun Sect Foundation Establishment disciples who had come to offer congratulations. Only Foundation Establishment cultivators were entitled to a seat. Even Qingyun Sect disciples, if they had not broken through to Foundation Establishment, could only watch from afar and could not participate. The sound of a bell ringing. At that moment, bell chimes echoed. In the plaza's ethereal space, above several green jade platforms, figures clad in Qingyun robes appeared. They were both male and female, ranging from young to old, from every age group. But each one emitted an unfathomable, deep and towering aura. The core formation ceremony officially begins. In the center of the platform, a cultivator in a Qingyun robe, with an imposing face, spoke out loud. Immediately, strains of celestial music played, and a rainbow bridge emerged in the air, looking like a rainbow, colorful, splendid, and utterly magnificent. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Those who could enter the hall were either true inheritors of Qingyun Sect, at least at false core formation true immortal, or were otherwise of extraordinary status. Tisk, this is truly a grand ceremony. Lu Chongxing felt quite emotional as he viewed the scene unfolding before him. He remembered the talisman master ceremony held by the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain for him those years ago. Comparing the two, his ceremony was hardly fit to be called grand. Calling it a small celebration would have been generous. When I break through to nascent soul someday, I can hold a grand ceremony, releasing the 9 Netherhound, the heavenly demon phoenix just for show, and even bring in some Dao soldiers for a parade. Lu Chongxing thought wistfully. It is said that wealth and honor do not return to one's hometown like walking in brocade at night. If I reach the pinnacle of the cultivation world without concerns, then I can really show off. But foundation establishment, core formation and such, ensure everything is safe. However, Qingyun Sect is quite generous. The food, spirit fruits, spiritual wine, and spirit meals these days are quite rare. Lu Chongxing looked at the food and drinks on the table and picked up the chopsticks. At this point, many people started drinking and chatting, discussing True Person Qingyi. I heard True Person Qingyi is not yet 100 years old, simply astonishing. Not only that, I heard that True Person Qingyi condensed a superior gold core. SSS, superior gold core. Doesn't that mean she has the potential for nascent soul? Alas, I'm already 100 years old but still stuck in the initial stage of foundation establishment. I wonder what kind of Dao companion True Person Qingyi wants to find in the future. You should stop dreaming about such out-of-reach aspirations. Being able to break through to core formation at such a young age means she's wholly dedicated to cultivation.
I heard true person Kinjius Master, Kaiyun True Immortal, was the same, breaking through to core formation before 100 and now has an illustrious reputation.
Both the master and disciple achieving core formation is indeed a good story. Sir the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I heard that Kaiyun True Immortal has another disciple who, although still young, is also extraordinarily talented and has the potential for core formation. Many voiced their wistful admiration and envy.
After all, for 90% of the people present, core formation was something they could only aspire to.
The ceremony concluded after 3 days, and the guests dispersed. I have a few friends in Qingyun's sect, just the right time to visit them. Lu Chongxing did not go back with Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang, and others. He planned to meet Xiao Shiyu and Zhao Qingqing. During these days, the guests were not allowed to wander freely, so he hadn't visited the two ladies. If that's the case, Lu Daoist, we will head back. Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang, along with a few other elders, showed envy in their words. They had heard that Lu Chongxing was acquainted with Fairy Shiyu of Qingyun's sect, and that he had formed a Dao companion with a foundation establishment disciple from Qingyun's sect. Such relationships made them exceedingly envious. Uncle, fellow Taoists, take care, and feel free to visit Bihu Lake Mountain when you're free. Lu Chongxing was very polite. He always followed the principle of not offending others unless they offended him first. As long as the other party was respectful, he favored peaceful relations. After all, he had a family to consider, so maintaining these social relationships was necessary. He couldn't act like a loose cultivator, overly solitary. He took out a yin-yang sensing talisman and sent a message to Xiao Shiyu. Before long, clad in a moon-white dress, with an elegant and noble demeanor, Xiao Shiyu arrived. Chongxing. Xiao Shiyu's eyes revealed tenderness and warmth. Since they were still in Qingyun's sect, they didn't immediately express their longing upon seeing each other. Additionally, Xiao Shiyu mentioned she had matters to attend to and would soon accompany her senior sister, Chu Qingyi, to the Luoyun mountain range. Going to the Luoyun mountain range? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 858. Core Formation Grand Ceremony, Twins Born. Lu Chongxing was somewhat surprised. He didn't expect Xiao Xia to rush to the Luoyun mountain range again, and so urgently at that. Yes, not long ago, my master fought a mighty battle with a real person of the Wuxia sect, resulting in the revelation of a secret realm beneath the vein. Xiao Xia did not hide this and spoke directly. A secret realm appeared beneath the vein. Lu Chongxing heard this and was surprised. He had been very astonished when he first heard this news. What kind of vein requires a nascent soul immortal to personally oversee? Not only to oversee, but now 2 nascent soul immortals had fought, revealing a secret realm. According to some patterns in the cultivation world, the formation of this vein was very likely to be influenced by this secret realm. This meant that this secret realm was no simple matter. Shiyu, you must be careful on this trip. Here is a substitute talisman I've crafted. Lu Chongxing immediately took out a substitute talisman that he had cultured from his storage bag. He had previously given Xiao Xia ordinary 3rd-rank lower-grade talismans, but not these crafted substitute talismans. Yes, Chongxing, I understand. Xiao Xia felt warmth in her heart as she took the talisman from Lu Chongxing. After a brief conversation, she bid farewell to Lu Chongxing, asking him to take good care of their daughter Wang Shu, and said she would come to Bai Lake Mountain after she was done with her affairs. Sigh. After watching Xiao Xia leave, Lu Chongxing waited for a moment, letting the guilt in his heart slightly subside before he took out Zhao Qingqing's yin-yang sensing talisman. He had stayed in Zhao Qingqing's 100 Herbs Garden for 3 days before leaving the Qingyun sect and returning to Bai Lake Mountain. Bai Lake Mountain. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. My husband. Su Ruyan had already emerged from closed-door cultivation, successfully breaking through to foundation establishment. After her breakthrough, she underwent no small change. Her clear eyes turned a fiery red, as intense as fire, like a burning red moon. Those crimson pupils, matched with her fire-red hair and naturally red lips, made her appear even more unapproachable, like a sacred and noble phoenix. However, upon getting closer, one couldn't help but want to extinguish this flame. Not bad. Lu Chongqing looked at the stunningly beautiful face in front of him, gazing into her eyes that shined like rubies. He knew that cultivating such a high-level cultivation technique would inevitably result in significant changes after a breakthrough. But he hadn't expected Su Ruyan's transformation to be so pronounced. Not only did her hair turn fire-red, but now her eyes had transformed into crimson pupils. Continuing this cultivation, she wouldn't grow animal ears and tails, right? He took Su Ruyan into Chongqing Hall to thoroughly inspect the changes after her foundation establishment breakthrough, to see if other places were also as fiery. Afterwards. This is a divine forbidding talisman. Once planted, you can return home. Lu Chongqing took out a well-cultured talisman and handed it to Su Ruyan. Although she had sworn an oath through her heart demon, promising not to reveal the situation of Bai Lake Mountain and Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, he had to be completely certain. Once the divine forbidding talisman was planted, if she disclosed information about Bai Lake Mountain to outsiders, it would explode, obliterating her soul. "Thank you, my husband." Su Ruyan bit her lip gently, speaking softly. Knowing she still didn't have Lu Changsheng's full trust, she obediently dropped her essence blood on the divine forbidding talisman and actively planted it within herself. In an instant, the spirit talisman burned away, transforming into a speck of light, entering her forehead sea of consciousness, making her feel a pulsating power. This is a third-rank spirit talisman? Su Ruyan was astonished in her heart, knowing this was definitely not a second-rank spirit talisman. However, after witnessing the variety of techniques from Lu Chongqing, she wasn't surprised by the third-rank talisman. She simply regarded Lu Chongqing with even more reverence and fear, realizing that he could readily produce such third-rank talismans. Immediately after, Su Ruyan went to see her son, Lu Chensha, and left by Lake Mountain for the Yushui Su family the next day. As for the ancient beast taming charm, naturally, she couldn't take it with her. It remained with Lu Chongqing. After all, Lu Chongqing was at ease with letting Su Ruyan go. But if he let both Su Ruyan and Hong Lian go, he wouldn't feel at ease. Not to mention, his divine forbidding talisman might be effective on Su Ruyan but not necessarily on Hong Lian. Moreover, keeping the ancient beast taming charm in his possession was also a shackle for Su Ruyan. Sir the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Half a year later. By Lake Mountain. Lu Family Mansion. Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoge, and Lu Miaoyun waited outside the delivery room. After many years, Lu Chongqing once again felt a mix of anticipation and a little nervousness. Ling Zixiao had been pregnant for 13 months, and the twins in her womb were finally about to be born. He was both hopeful and anxious for these two children, eager for their arrival and their spiritual root talent. After all, a 13-month pregnancy indicated that these children would definitely have exceptional talents. Like when Xiao Xia was pregnant with Lu Wangshu, it only took 11 months. But faced with this situation, he also feared a little. Chapter 859. Twin Spiritual Bodies, False Core Combat Power. Congratulations to the host for giving birth to 4 spiritual body offspring. You get 1 lottery chance. Congratulations to the host for giving birth to 5 spiritual body offspring. You get 1 lottery chance. Both these children have a spiritual body? Lu Chongqing was startled by the system prompt. Immediately, under the surge of a profound and mysterious thrill, he was enveloped by an indescribable sensation. Spiritual root. His spiritual root had advanced. It had ascended from 2nd grade to 1st grade. Are these two children's spiritual roots 1st grade, or Earth Spirit root? At that moment, Lu Changsheng's heart was like a tempestuous sea, with waves rising high. He knew the twins' talents were likely to be extraordinary. But he hadn't expected such an immense surprise. Sia the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Not only did they both possess a spiritual body, but the enhancements to their spiritual roots had directly promoted his own from 2nd to 1st grade. Lu Chongxing quietly savored this profound experience. From the enhancements he received from his offspring's spiritual bodies, he vaguely felt something familiar. Dragon Roar origin. It was the very same Dragon Roar origin he once sensed and devoured from Ling Xixiu's body. Yet this origin source was still quite weak, and there seemed to be some indescribable changes. Lu Chongxing immediately realized that one of these two children carried the inheritance of Ling Xixiu's Dragon Roar physique. Who is it? Lu Chongxing was eager to find out whether it was his son or daughter who had inherited the Dragon Roar physique. However, just then, another system notification sounded. Detection. The host's current spiritual body is with flaw, and attributes overlap. Perform fusion? Spiritual body with flaw? Overlapping attributes? Fusion? Lu Chongxing was taken aback. What did this mean? In the next instant, a flow of information entered his mind, clarifying the matter. The twins born of Ling Xixiu both had the Dragon Roar physique. However, their Dragon Roar physiques were with flaw and neither was complete. This! Lu Chongxing was at a loss for words upon hearing this. The conditions of his two children today had indeed taken him, an experienced father, through an emotional roller coaster. Yet, he had heard of such cases before. There were rumors that some cultivators, although possessing superior spiritual roots and spiritual bodies, faced slow progression in cultivation due to either innate deficiencies or a constitution weak and ill, leading to a spiritual body with flaw, with only partial traits existing. But such was certainly not the case for his own children. During Ling Xixiu's pregnancy, not only did she have enough nutritious supplements, but she also took third-order spirit pills, specifically the spirit fusion pill. Moreover, Lu Miaoge would often use Tai True water to regulate Ling Xixiu's body and nurture the fetuses. It could be said that the two children had been winning from the start, even in the mother's womb. Additionally, according to the system's judgment, both children's spiritual bodies were clearly well formed. Is it because they are twins? Lu Chongxing pondered in his heart, suspecting it might be due to them being twins. However, even with flaw Dragon Roar physique, it's probably not weaker than the typical spiritual body. Lu Chongxing was always contented with what he had and was quite satisfied with this situation. It was only the issue of his daughter inheriting the Dragon Roar physique that gave him a slight headache. He had worried about this prospect before, yet it had come to pass regardless. The Dragon Roar physique will only truly reveal itself upon reaching foundation establishment. When my child faces issues with the Dragon Roar physique, there will be at least 20 or 30 years. By then, solutions may not be out of reach. Lu Chongxing's frown eased slightly. Since the situation had already arisen, he was confident that he could resolve his daughter's condition in the future. Chongxing. At this moment, Lu Miaoge called out to Lu Chongxing who was by her side. Good. Lu Chongxing hurriedly returned to his senses and walked into the delivery room with Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyun. Inside the room, the two midwives were full of joy, bowing and saying, "Congratulations, my lord, you have a young master and a young miss." Thank you. You've worked hard." Lu Chongxing smiled and handed over the red packets he had prepared in advance. "Thank you, my lord, thank you," both exclaimed with grateful faces. Giving birth for cultivators was generally very smooth and without danger. Especially for a foundation establishment cultivator like Ling Xixiu. Their main purpose was to prevent accidents and to serve the couple. Lord. Ling Xixiu was cradling the pair of children, sitting weakly on the bed. Perhaps it was because she bore twins, or that both had exceptional talents that placed a large toll on the mother, leaving Ling Xixiu's complexion pale and frail. "Xixiu, you have worked hard." Lu Chongxing quickly sat down on the bed and spoke softly. Then, he looked at his son and daughter in her arms. Although the twins had extraordinary talents and both possessed the Dragon Roar physique, they did not present any spectacular congenital anomalies. They just seemed much cuter than the average babies, their skin rosy, translucent, and glowing, like two porcelain dolls. "They are so cute." Lu Miaoge also approached and said tenderly, looking at the two children. Subsequently, she circulated her mana, using the Tai True water to regulate Ling Xixiu's body. "My lord, this one is the brother, and this one is the sister." Ling Xixiu handed one child to Lu Chongxing. She had discussed with Lu Chongxing before that no matter who was born first, the boy would be the elder brother and the girl, the younger sister. On this matter, Lu Chongqing naturally deferred to her.
MHM.
Lu Chongqing looked over his son.
He keenly noticed that deep in his son's pupils, there seemed to be a faint, almost imperceptible golden sheen.
Is it because of the dragon roar physique?
Lu Chongqing knew that even though the dragon roar physique was a latent spiritual body, it would gradually awaken with growth and cultivation. He then took his daughter in his arms for examination. His daughter's eyes were clear and pure, without the unusualness seen in his son. Although both children had with flawed dragon roar physiques, it wasn't to say that their dragon roar physiques were identical. Hence, Lu Chongqing wasn't certain whether it was a gender issue or a matter of the dragon roar physique itself.
Lu Ling Xiao Lu Lingi.
If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. In an instant, the Tao platform, resembling a 5 elements jade disc, trembled lightly, with strands of lustrous light flowing around, mysterious and magnificent.
Hoo.
At that moment, the elixir lake, like a deep 7-colored pool, began to stir, forming a vortex, siphoning the surrounding nature's spiritual energy.
Breakthrough.
At this moment, his 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture began to operate on its own, desiring to break through.
What? Lu Chongqing was first shocked, then showed a face full of surprise.
Immediately he sat cross-legged, taking out all the collected high-quality spirit stones. Then he took out vial after vial. His current mana, which had not reached the limit of 700 drops of liquid state, started to break through directly under the influence of the dragon roar physique and the transformation of the Tao Foundation. This was similar to the situation when Lu Miaoge underwent Heavenly Foundation establishment back in the day. He naturally wanted to seize the opportunity and break through the realm in one fell swoop.
Mount Sumeru.
Lu Chongqing continued calling out Mount Sumeru, letting it provide its Mount Sumeru cave heaven spiritual energy in full force to his cave mansion. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.